Welcome to the Wednesday edition of the Sports Cage, live in downtown Regina, Saskatchewan. Colson is with me. It is for Regina Motor Products. We got 3 hours for you, wall-to-wall coverage when it comes to sports. I'd say probably 70% of it is going to be about the green and white, the Riders. However you're listening to the program, we appreciate it, whether it's on the audio streams out there, watching it on our YouTube channel through sportscage.com, or, as always, on 620 CKRM, celebrating 100 years this year. All of our guests are going to join us on the Western Pizza guest hotline. Western Pizza, the perfect pizza, generous amount of toppings, and all the Greek favorites you love, like ribs, salads, souvlaki. You just can't make that goodness at home. Visit your Western Pizza tonight. Maybe order it in for the hockey game. It's coming up a little bit later, and we'll touch on that. We'd like you to participate, as always. It's on the Prairieland Rentals text line. Prairieland Rentals, if you have a job that you're getting at and you need maybe a tool, maybe an auger, anything to rent, front end loader, they can do that too. Prairieland Rentals, 600 Albert Street. You get to deal with the owner. 936-6262. Do you have questions on this Wednesday about the Saskatchewan Roughriders that you want me to ask Dave and Luke? Fire away. 936-6262. What questions do you have? We'd like to pick out a few and fire it at the fellows when we talk to them. If you have questions when it comes to the NHL, well, we have Eric Francis coming up today as well. He's in hour 2 at about 4:30. You can let us know if you have questions. Maybe it's on the Western Conference Final, which starts tonight in Colorado, or the Eastern Conference Final. How about you got a question for Scott Schultz? It's our midweek sound off with Scott Schultz. That's at 5 o'clock. The former Rider legend is in studio with us. We'll chat about the preseason game number 1, camp into game 2. You never know where else Schultz wants to go. And we are going to talk about the Memorial Cup, which starts Friday in beautiful Kelowna, British Columbia. Regan Bartel, voice of the Kelowna Rockets, I want to say for around 26 seasons. He's going to hop on. I think he's been to 4 Memorial Cups. Regan knows all when it comes to the Kelowna Rockets and what's going on in this Memorial Cup. So, and he's a Swift Current boy. Used to work with Regan for a couple of years back in Swift in the day. It'll be nice to catch up with him. So that's the show in a nutshell. Like I said, for Regina Motor Products, fire those questions in on the Prairieland Rentals text line, 936-6262. I know we got wall-to-wall, Colson. We got lots of Rider talk coming up, and NHL with Vegas and Colorado starting tonight. I'm really confused on placing sprinkles on that series, but I got to tell you, because it's a sports show, I'm really into this basketball tonight, and I will be watching the hockey game, but the San Antonio Spurs and the Canadian Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and the Oklahoma City...
You're getting him backwards, but...
Oh, what? Oklahoma... Shai plays for...
Oklahoma.
Yeah. And
okay.
Wembanyama
is on the Spurs.
And he's from France?
Yes.
Yeah, he's on the Spurs. I know. Yeah, I was going down the right thing.
Okay. The way you were saying it, it sounded like the teams flipped, but no, you're good.
The more that I'm trying to figure this out. I just as a sports fan, and how OKC is going to game plan against Wembanyama. What's his first name?
Victor.
How they're going to game plan against Victor? I might have to split the screen on that. Just as a sports fan, I'm very curious.
Mm-hmm. If you want some stats and stuff to highlight this matchup even more, at the start of this year, OKC was dominating. I think they started the season like 25-3. Like, they were just cruising past teams. And Wembanyama was injured, and he came back specifically when the Spurs were playing OKC, because he has a vendetta against OKC. So he comes back, and they played each other, I think, like 4 times over the course of 2 weeks. And the Spurs won every single one of those games. They more or less single-handedly completely disrupted what could have been the best season in NBA history. So, yeah, Wembanyama's got it out for OKC. Seeing SGA get that MVP trophy in front of him probably motivated him to put a performance on in game 1 and steal that game from them. So it's going to be an interesting series.
I'm wondering, it's actually interesting to think about like football, right? We had Percy Lewis the fourth come up, got released from the Riders, and he was what was he, 6'8", 6'8", 390, in and around there. Mm-hmm. So Victor, we figured out, is 7'5",
somewhere in there. Yeah.
So he's just absolutely, like, that's what I want to watch. Like, how are they game planning? How are they going to game plan? Or, you know, are they going to rough him up a bit? But then what's Chet Holmgren?
Yeah,
he's the big guy for OKC. Yeah, and he's like skinny.
Yeah, they're both skinny. Chet is here. Let me pull up his height. He is 7'1", only 7'1", and he's about 200 pounds. Wembanyama is, I think, Wembanyama's 235. But they're tall, skinny, so that's where all the weight goes.
There's never been, when you think about it for football, there's never been like a 7'5" guy that can play the game of football.
No.
But wouldn't that be a weapon?
Oh,
I don't know if you want to put him to block kicks, if you just want to throw up back shoulders or jump balls in the end zone all day to him. But it's really only basketball that you see the 7 foot whatever 5. You know, we're starting to see more taller guys in hockey. Yeah. Like Tage Thompson and some of these goalies are.
With a quick Google here, apparently Richard Slee, if I'm pronouncing his name right, is the tallest NFL player ever. He was drafted in the 10th round of the 1967 draft, so a while back.
How tall?
7 foot on the dot. But other notable giants, like Ed Too Tall Jones, that name rings a bell for a lot of people. He was 6'9", right? So they've had some guys in the upper echelon there, but the 7-footer's still the NBA's problem.
What if you search tallest NFL receiver currently? I'm just looking at receivers. Love the offensive side of the ball. Obviously, being a corner, being a line, being whatever at 7 foot would be advantageous.
Do you have a guess as to who's going to be up there?
Oh, no, not a clue, okay. Man.
Because I know Mike Evans is 6'5".
Really?
So he's probably up there. Mike Evans is a big guy.
Jeez, right?
Yeah. And then I think Devontae Adams is pretty tall too. Let's see here. According to my search here, Johnny Wilson of the Eagles is 6'6". He was drafted in 2024 and is considered to be the tallest active receiver.
6'6".
Yeah.
So 7'5".
Yeah, that's
another foot. I'm really curious on how this goes down tonight, just because OKC is a little stunned that the Spurs, I think I heard the average age of this team is like 22 so under 23 years of age.
Yeah.
And the Michigan team that won the NCAA championship is like high 21s. So they're not far off from the Michigan team that won the Final Four to the team that's in the East or Western Conference Final.
Yeah, that's the same with OKC though. Like they won the championship as, I'm pretty sure, the youngest team ever last year. So if you can get a bunch of young stud athletes on your team and get them to work together, it seems to be a recipe for success right now in the NBA. I think it's been eight seasons. They've had a different champion every single year for 8 seasons, and then it's also like 10 or whatever that it's been since an American MVP. So
there's our basketball talk for the first hour. We'll put that there. We got the hockey talk too, and we get Eric Francis in hour 2. He's in Colorado. I'm curious on the skate, the line combinations. It sounds like Stone wasn't on the ice. Sounds like Makar wasn't on the ice. We'll find out a little bit more from Eric. But when it comes to the Riders, They were back on the practice field, training camp field in Saskatoon today, getting ready for the game in Saskatoon this Saturday. I was actually talking with Ryan and Adrian from Regina Plumbing and Heating today, and Ryan said he's making the trek up to check out the game. The atmosphere, like Dave and Luke talked about yesterday, the standing room tickets will be just a party, an absolute riot. But Coach Mace, talking today to the media, he mentions what he learned about this team from watching film of that first preseason game.
I thought the guys played hard, man. It just came down to detail stuff, stuff that we've seen them do in practice, and, we got to make sure we execute it, specifically, obviously, on game days. But those are, sometimes you expect some of those things in camps, specifically from the younger guys. But I think, getting that education for them early in our training camp will provide, quality depth for us as we push forward.
Okay. See, yesterday when we were talking to the fellas, I kind of went down the path of, I wonder if the game plan, not the game plan, I wonder if the man hours or who's in, who's out, how long players are in for changes with what happened in Calgary. Jack Cohn for starters, is when's he going in? You would think Harris would start. Are we going over under 2 series for Harris?
2 series, I would take the over. 2.5, I don't know. If you put the over under 2.5, I don't know. Because I think I could see him getting 3 for sure.
See, I could see him getting 1.
No wrong.
Maybe that's the question. 936-6262. What do the Riders fans think out there? Trevor Harris this weekend in Saskatoon, over or under 2 series? And then is Cohn in, and does Cohn play the rest of the first half? Do they put Cohn in maybe for the second half and get Shager and Stevens in? Interesting. Coach Mace was asked, does that film that he was talking about change how they attack or approach the week?
Yeah, I mean, it's competition. It's an interview, so some guys are going to be moved up and down, within their depth charts and stuff like that, and it's what we do. But certainly, I think the most important thing is just those guys understanding the speed of the game, the tempo of the game, not necessarily of how each play is, but just as in totality of how things move. So, just some things we got to lock in and dial in on. But overall, man, I was pleased with the effort.
This is an interesting piece. I'm curious to hear what he says here. Then I'm curious to talk to Dave and Luke about it, because the question or the answer he answers on is having CFL officials at camp today.
If we could have those guys here every day, that'd be awesome. Just it helps with accountability. But yes, it was part of it. But also too, it's really good for these refs as well. There's a bunch of new stuff going in, and we worked through that also in the preseason game. Everybody was learning new things. So the more reps, the better for everybody.
We get more from the guys on that. Some of the text messages coming in. Prairieland Rentals text line 936-6262. Roscoe wants us to ask Schultz if he's a basketball fan. We'll get on that. Schultz, he's probably just a sports fan, though. James in Regina says, hey, boys, Yao Ming was 7'6", had to retire due to multiple foot fractures because his feet couldn't handle his weight. He would throw Victor into the third row. Yeah, Yao Ming was a little bigger, a little thicker, wasn't he?
Yeah. Let's see here.
I didn't know that's why he had to retire, though.
Yeah.
I didn't know his feet.
Yeah, tall guys usually have something going on with.
Well, for sure,
stuff, right?
I'll go knees first.
Listed at 7'6", listed weight 310. So yeah, bit heavier.
Where is this here? Oh, Manute Bol. I'm looking up how tall Manute Bol was. 7'6" or 7'7".
Yeah, considered to be the tallest, right?
But string bean.
Yeah.
Real skinny. Played college basketball, Bridgeport Purple Knights. Where was he from? Yeah, he was from Sudan. And he passed away at the age... he passed away in 2010.
His family were all extremely tall. Mother was 6'10", father 6'8". His grandfather was 7'10".
Manute Bowles?
Yeah.
Great grandfather Bowl. Here's something. I don't know if I've ever seen this on Wikipedia with an athlete. Pull up Manute Bol on Wikipedia, Colson, and tell me if I'm not. It says born 1946 to 1962. Died June 19th, 2010, aged between 48 and 64. So they're telling me they had no idea how old this guy was.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, that's what I'm reading here.
I've never seen that. And I didn't. Maybe somebody out there knew this. Manute Bol played. He was one of those. What was the kid in the World Series? Played for New York or whatever. They didn't have his. Or was it Cuba? Oh, what was that kid's name? And he was like ended up being like 16 or 17. I had no idea on Manute Bol. We were learning so much today about tall basketball players. But yeah, Yao Ming was a unit for sure. Brendan, given the Riders don't start until June 13th, I'd give the starters the first quarter. Yeah, see, that's a good point. I think you have to maybe, like I said, you almost need like an exhibition game in there. I guess you'll be battling against each other, but that is a long time with no real bullets in action. Good point. Brennan on the Prairie Land Rentals text line 936-6262. Okay, there's a few questions here for Dave and Luke. Keep them coming if you want us to ask anything to the guys. We'll go to break. We'll come back. We'll go up to Saskatoon for our first training camp report. It is a Sports Cage streaming through our YouTube channel at sportscage.com. Ed on the Prairie Land Rentals text line. That's right. I didn't have a chance to look it up. It was Danny Alamonte from the Dominican. The kid that played in the Little League World Series. When was that, though? 2001,
by the looks of it.
He threw 79 miles an hour. Considered a phenom as he led his Bronx team to a third-place finish in the 2021 Little League World Series. And then how old was he when... Yeah, and then he never really played anywhere, though, did he? Ages. We'll have to read more on this. Yeah, we found out Manute Bol. No one really knew how old he was. And we get into the Danny Alamonte chat as well. That's why it's just a sports show that you never know what you're going to get. Prairie Land Rentals text line 936-6262. Let's go up to Saskatoon. To the Red Zone Sports Bar, located behind the Saskatoon Travelodge. Nachos are on point. Great place to maybe watch that basketball game tonight or that hockey game. Lots of TVs. Specials, I'm sure. You never know. You might run into the fellas if you're up there and going in. Dave and Luke. Did you guys know that about Manute Bol?
Couldn't have cared less.
You just don't like any knowledge, or what? You don't like learning new things today, Luke?
Man, I'm here to talk football, man. I'm not worried about Manute Bol.
Okay.
That guy probably weighed 50 pounds soaking wet. Maybe. Yeah, maybe. You guys are comparing Wembanyama, who is a point guard at 7'6" and an absolute alien, to Manute Bol, who all he did is block shots. Like, man, no way. It's not even close.
Wembanyama or Magic Johnson? Who do you take?
Magic Johnson.
He's
right now. It's Magic Johnson. Come on, Barney.
Okay, who's the best basketball player of all time in your mind?
Kobe Bryant.
Why?
Oh,
what?
I'm going Michael Jordan.
Yeah, man, I watched all the eras. I watched Michael's era, I watched Kobe Bryant, and I watched Queen James, and it's by far, in my mind, Kobe Bryant. I love Kobe Bryant. I'm a Kobe guy. Yeah.
Okay. What I just did there, folks, was got Luke to talk some basketball when he said he didn't care less when we started this. So I just tricked him into about a minute and a half of basketball talk. The Riders hit the field today. Dave Thomas, what jumps out at you? Anything surprising as they hit the practice field?
Boy, good tempo. Looked very crisp on both sides of the ball. You know what? Especially offensively, I thought the offense was just on point today all day long. The officials were out. There were flags that were flew and dropped. And again, there were some of the same mistakes I would submit that were made in Calgary. Lining up offside was not a good look on the defensive line today. But all in all, when the pads came out, they were popping. The offense was running. And, you know, there were some great plays made all around. So I loved today's workout. I thought it was awesome.
What about for you, Luke? What jumps out at you? Any players jump out at you? Maybe they're on the field. Maybe they weren't on the field.
Well, actually, I think that some good news. He didn't participate a ton, but Caleb Saunders was back out wearing number 99 today. That's a good thing because we could always use his help there. I thought Jack Cohn played really well. I thought Shager played well as well, but I thought Jack Cohn, and again, it was one of those. I mean, we talked about it yesterday, right, Barney? Is like you just got to come out and be better, right, today than you were the day before. And I agree with Dave. The pace of practice, the sense of urgency was there. Having referees there is always good because, again, the more you can simulate a real-time situation, the more you can put yourself into a game day situation, and the more competitive it becomes, right? Like you saw, when we scored, when the defense stopped them, it was loud, it was energetic, and so I thought they got some really good work done today.
And should mention Tavon Campbell was back, which is huge.
Yeah, Tavon Campbell's back. That's another obviously veteran that you add to the fold, and you're able now to continue building into your depth, right? Yeah. So Tavon Campbell is going to be great for a guy like Malcolm Bell as well.
Curtis, I think on the text line missed the story about the refs, and we had Coach Mace talking about that. Like, you guys must have knew this was happening. This wasn't a surprise. And what's the story behind it? Are they going to be back?
They come out a few times per camp, right? So again,
every team does it.
Yeah, in Saskatchewan, there is a huge percentage of officials from Saskatchewan to get the opportunity to work in the CFL, especially since the CFL changed their rules a few years ago. It used to be that you had to live in Regina or Saskatoon to be an official in the CFL. Mm-hmm. Now you can be from anywhere, and there's guys from PA, there's guys from Rosetown, right? So they come out because they're getting their work too, right? They're experimenting. They're working on the 35-second clock. They're checking out the nuances for the ruse. They're checking again, right? So it's just to give everybody an opportunity to get up to speed, and I wouldn't be surprised if we see them in Regina next week.
Yeah, every team has at least two practices with referees. So, and again, like Dave said, it's a good opportunity for them to sort of get their sea legs under them as well, right?
Okay, but back to like the watching of the tape and then the cone look crisp, and this is a question from me, Luke. Will they now look at that tape and will they test him with things that they feel maybe he needs? He wasn't great in recognizing, and push him a little more in practice.
No, you make the adjustments and you're expected to take the coaching, period. You do not slice off extra time to make sure a guy understands what he needs. He either is going to get it or he's not going to get it. And they're going to make a decision based on how guys absorb information, retain information. So there's always a corrections period that happens after a game specifically that you might want to build into practice or walkthrough, and that's not even about any one person. That's just, hey, we ran 67 up Mike Dodger right wrong against the double eagle front in the game against Winnipeg. Here's how we should have ran it. That's the correction, right? So you run it and you just make it. So there's always like a few corrections you make, but even that's not individually based. You're not going to waste team time making sure an individual understands where he needs to get better at. You just tell him, you coach him up, and then he's expected to do it. Next time he sees that situation, the lights got to come on, right? The lights got to come on. He's got to make the adjustment, and then he can move forward.
Dave, when what jumped out at me in the SportsCage.com insider report was the one line today. So people should go SportsCage.com, and if you're not an insider, check it out. Check out who Sean in our daily recap and how Micah Johnson recorded a sack in Calgary. Can you please explain?
Well, you know, I don't want to say question marks. It's just a change of roles, right? For Micah Johnson, we saw his leadership on the field for a number of years, and now he's the defensive line coach. And so I had a great conversation with Kendy Charles, who we both thought had a pretty good game in Calgary, got a sack, got 3 tackles along the way, and just conversation with him, I asked him what the dynamic is like, right? Because we've all been around teammates, but then to have your teammate turn into basically your boss as your coach, right? How does that turn? And he couldn't be more proud or beam more or speak more highly of his coach, saying that in that Calgary game when he got his sack, it was because of Micah Johnson. Micah spotted something on the sideline. He told Kendy. Kendy made the adjustment, got the sack the next play. So I asked Kendy's like, so does that mean Micah Johnson gets half a sack on the play? And he reluctantly agreed.
Yeah. Kendy will say Micah can have the sack as long as he gets paid for it.
Yeah,
right? As long as Kendy gets paid for the sack. That's how that works. But again, we've talked about Micah Johnson and his transition into coaching, and one of the things that you knew and that the players have kind of alluded to is the amount of detail that goes into their game plan and practice prep now that Micah's leading that charge.
Yep.
A coach like that, Luke, does anybody, like Micah just played last year, probably still could be out there playing. Did you have anybody like that?
I think that, so it's really interesting. When you have a legendary coach like Micah Johnson, I think the battle for coaches, for Micah specifically, and for all coaches that come directly from the playing field into the coaching, onto the sidelines as a coach, is adapting to how you would have done it versus how the player in front of you needs to accomplish the task, right? There's so many examples in every professional sport of like some of our greatest players going in the coaching and not being great. Like, Wayne Gretzky in the NHL, absolutely. For instance, right? Anthony Calvillo in the Canadian Football League, right?
Manute Bol.
I think that, Manute Bol probably couldn't coach my son's flag basketball team, right? So you take that and again, you have to present the information that makes sense to the guys that are in your room, and you can't sit there, I don't think, and say, well, hey, this is what I do. This is what I do. And I had it all the way. So in my career, I had a coach that I loved right off the bat, Ron Este in Saskatchewan. He was awesome, but Ron Este coached us based on some of the things that he did. And that guy is a CFL legend, Hall of Famer, LSU Hall of Famer, like football god. Yeah. Right. And one of the best humans you could ever meet. But in terms of coaching technique, Coach Este expected certain things to get. The best coach I ever had was my last year. It was Mike St. Clair. And Mike St. Clair brought technique that he expected, but applied it from your eyes and the way you could understand it. And he put players in the situations. And this was a guy that was one of Seattle Seahawks' greatest pass rushers, one of the GOATs. And he was so good at taking what he knew should happen, but making it relatable to the person in the equipment. And that's the magic. And I think that as Micah Johnson goes along in his journey, the more he can figure out how to make it relatable to the guys in his room, take his experience, his brain, but implant it in guys who do things differently, I think he'll be a fantastic coach.
So the follow-up question for you. You've been there, you've lived this, you know. So that conversation on the sideline, is it like a long 5-minute drawn-out session, or is it like, hey, I see the offensive lineman is taking a quick step first, or he's punching right?
I'm Micah. Hey, next time we call over and you get the 3 technique and his knee is slanted that way, he's going to fire off that way. Backdoor him right away, go in and make the play. Boom, that's it. That's how fast it happens sometimes, right? Sometimes it's a call, right? Whether Micah John, sometimes your defensive and position coach is up in the booth. Hey, man, on that cover 2, you need to get closer to the sideline. You're still using it as your 13th defender, but if you can squeeze him out and really sort of make him balance, like make him do a balancing act within the field of play, now you really got it. Boom, close. Right?
How often does that conversation happen?
Well, if you're a good coach, it happens anytime you feel like somebody needs to get coached up. Micah's going to be doing and here's the thing about that. So the Kendi Charles example that Micah told him and Kendi out went out, I guarantee you that was not the only conversation that Micah had with one of his players. Yeah. He was having those conversations with everybody, right? He probably came to Evans and said, "Hey, Evans, cut down your split." Right? If it's second and 7, widen your split, right? Because you're fast and athletic, you might be able to threaten the upfield shoulder to their tackle a little bit. But if you got a tight end that's or a wing, cut down your split, because we know we've seen on camera that's right. So there's all sorts of coaching. It's not just sort of like coming to the sideline and being like, "Okay, guys, I thought we did good on second and first with our pad level," because that's involved too. But you always got to make sure that you're individually coaching your guys.
What, Dave, in hour 2, we can get into that Kendi Charles interview that you had today. I think that's pretty cool with the Micah Johnson thing. Okay, as I leave you guys, trivia question for you both. LeBron James is the all-time scoring leader in the NBA. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is number 2. Who is number 3? It's not
MJ.
MJ? That's what I would have went with, or Kobe. Very interesting.
No, it's going to be somebody that you don't expect.
Think Canada Post.
It's not Steph.
Steve Nash.
Steve Nash. Wow.
Think US
Steve Nash,
maybe then.
Second greatest Canadian to ever play basketball now.
The Postman.
Oh, Carmelo. Yeah, you're right.
Carmelo.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that stupid layup that he did every single time he got the ball. Yeah, that guy was unstoppable.
Stockton in his shorts, dishing to him. Right on.
Yeah, too bad he pension for women that were underage. That would have been, man.
Okay, I'll hit you with another one in the next hour. That's the fellas up at the training camp report at the Red Zone Sports Bar. Talking some basketball and some football. Got it going on. Great place to watch the basketball or hockey game tonight, though, they tell me. Lots of screens, taps, good food. The Red Zone Sports Bar located behind the Saskatoon Travel Lodge. We'll go to break. We come back. We're going to talk some Memorial Cup hockey, which starts Friday in Kelowna, British Columbia. It is the Sports Cage on the home of the Riders, 620 CKRM. Welcome back to the Sports Cage. For Regina Motor Products on this Wednesday, Regina Motor Products, you can visit them for a no-charge brake inspection and save up to $120 off. GM, genuine parts, brake pads, and rotors. Offer ends May 31st, so coming up here. If your brakes are grindy. Western Pizza, why wouldn't a guy or girl? We got football tonight, we got basketball. Or we got probably some UFL football somewhere, hockey, basketball. Order your Western Pizza. Let's go to the Western Pizza guest hotline right now. Joining us from Kelowna, British Columbia, the site of the Memorial Cup. Of course, that's the backdrop you go with. Voice of the Kelowna Rockets from Swift Current, Saskatchewan, Regan Bartel. Regan, nice to see you, my friend.
Hey, it's funny, Barney. They always said, "Hey, why don't we have the Memorial Cup in Medicine Hat? Why don't we have the Memorial Cup in Brandon? Hey, let's have the Memorial Cup in Lethbridge." Here I am today, plus 22, wind from the south at 7, sunny sky. That's why the tournament is being held here in Kelowna.
What make us jealous about this, Regan? What's going to be going on besides the hockey, though? I'm sure you're going to be able to go outside. Can people go and pick peaches and drink wine right outside the rink?
Darn right, we're going to get a tan. We worship the sun. That's what it's all about. You can play golf. Everybody's been playing golf here for about 3 months, and we're going to do some wine tasting. We're gonna jump into Okanagan Lake. The lake is that warm, Barney. So yeah, we're gonna do a lot of water activities outside of what's happening at Prospero Place, the home arena for the Kelowna Rockets on Friday.
How many Memorial Cups is this for you?
6. Yeah, it all started back in 2003 in Quebec City. Then 2004, the Rockets hosted. In 2005, London, Ontario. In 2009, way out there in Rimouski, Quebec. And then most recently in 2015, when Leon Draisaitl was a member of the Rockets, it was back at the Colisée, the final game ever played at the Colisée in Quebec City. So, yeah, this is number 6. This one's special because, of course, it's on home ice. The other ones have been great, but this one, again, considering it's been a bit of a wait for me, there was an opportunity to call, what was it? 7 Memorial Cup. Well, you break it down, it was 7 years and 4 Memorial Cups over that span. So it's been a bit of a break between 2015 and now.
Is the most memorable one the winning?
Big time. Yeah, especially when you saw the hometown crowd, right? You know, you're taking on a team that probably is going to beat you because, you know, as the host team, you're the weak sister because you didn't win the league title, right? And so you go into that tournament, I guess, as the big time, you know, outsider, and you pick up win number 1, win number 2. You're not allowing a lot of goals. Kelly Gard, who's a former Prince Albert Raider netminder, of course, acquired in a trade with the Kelowna Rockets. He was the MVP back in 2004. And you win the game 2-1 over the Gatineau Olympique. And the crowd, they're 6,600 strong at Prospero Place on that night. It's really a game and a night you'll never forget.
Bruce Hamilton, as an owner, what he's done there. Obviously, you have to speak highly of the Hamilton family and everything that they've done. You've been there a long time. But really, what makes them one of the best in the WHL, Regan?
Well, their scouting was really good early, and that's why they were allowed to go to 3 straight Memorial Cups. Sure, they hosted it in 2004, but their first was in 2003, and then again they repeated in 2005. So I think their scouting has been really good, and also their coaching. I mean, Mark Habscheid was really the key catalyst for the Rockets. He's now obviously the head coach with the Red Deer Rebels. And he changed the complexion of the organization and just the belief in the dressing room. And by drafting the young guys and bringing them up through the ranks as a 16, 17, 18. And by the time you're a 19-year-old, you're a seasoned veteran and you have that winning pedigree. And it's amazing what winning will do, right? It just translate year after year after year. And so that's why I think the Rockets have had a lot of success. Lauren Fry, their longtime director of player personnel, is no longer in that position, but he also has to get a lot of credit or be given a lot of credit for allowing the Rockets to be the marquee franchise in the WHL for several years.
Rockets in this tournament. We don't know a lot about them out here, obviously, in Saski, but you guys gave Everett one of their 2 losses in the playoffs. Let's talk about the Rockets first. What's this team? What's the makeup of this team? What makes this team tick? Obviously, we know Aginla's on this team, but as they go into the Memorial Cup, what do you like about the home team?
Yeah, they made a lot of trades, right? So they had to build their roster, and you had to do it a bit of a different way than, let's say, you did back in 2004, 22 years ago, where, again, you'd acquire young talent and you'd build through that. So the Rockets had to really, I don't know if it was roll the dice, but they had to make some significant trades. They exactly did that with Carson Wetch, a key acquisition for the Calgary Hitmen. That was over the summer. Mazden Leslie acquired for the Vancouver Giants. And so this team, it's an old team. It's, in fact, the second oldest team in the entire WHL. Only down the road in Penticton was that expansion franchise older than the Rockets. They're big. They're mean. They can score. They'll have to defend better at the Memorial Cup. But again, home ice advantage is so huge. And I was doing a radio interview the other day. A radio station up in Edmonton asked me why the Kelowna Rockets were going to win this tournament. And I said because of the time off, 35 days off. So they'll be the freshest team. They'll be the healthiest team. And I think also from a Kelowna Rocket perspective, they're also going to be probably, I would think, from a cardiovascular standpoint, they'll be in the best shape, coming into this tournament. It's just getting rid of that rink rust early in game number 1 on Friday. That's the biggest concern for me. But I think once they get rolling, I think they're going to be okay.
There's a lot of old NHL pros in that Kelowna area. I remember Lauren Mulliken, it happened to him twice, where he lost out first round of the WHL, and then he had to play in the Memorial Cup, and they would get like exhibition games. I remember working in Swift, and it was the Regina Memorial Cup, and they were trying to find ways to stay sharp. Over those 35 days for Kelowna, what have they done? Have they played any exhibition games and got guys out there?
It was bizarre, yeah, to have that much time off. They did a lot of off-ice activities. You do a lot of hikes. You did not surfing on Okanagan Lake. It's not that warm, but they went indoors. There was a bit of they could do some surfing in there. They did some off-ice workouts. Of course, there was a lot of on-ice sessions. I know they did 2-a-days for a little while, and they did have last Friday. They had a mock game, if you will. So they set it up where essentially the guys come in, let's say on a Friday, you have your morning skate. You go home, you have your meal, you prepare for that night's game, that inter-squad game, if you will. I understand they brought some pros that remain in and around the Okanagan Valley. They brought them in to provide a little more snarl, a little more competition. So, again, the Rockets want to be game ready. And how game ready will they be on Friday night? Well, we're about, 48 hours from finding out.
What do you expect from Kitchener and Chicoutimi?
Yeah, Kitchener's a real good team. That's the Rockets. That's their first opponent. And they were 16-2 in the playoffs, and they're a real good team. I mean, you look at their body of work, score a lot of goals, defend really well. Chicoutimi is also a team that I think allowed 150 goals against, the lowest amount in the entire Canadian Hockey League. So there's a lot of unknowns. I think talking to the Kelowna Rocket head coach, he says, hey, we got to play our game. We can't really, we'll make maybe some alterations after the first period, but if they played their game, they believe that they are on equal footing with the three teams that'll be there. Again, to take on Everett, which is the third game of the round robin, the Rockets will take on the Tips. They want to get back at them because, as you said off the top, they beat them in overtime in a second-round playoff series, and I think the Rockets can play with them. It's amazing matchups and how it works out. Everett high-powered against Prince Albert, toe-to-toe, both teams very gifted offensively. But I think the Kelowna Rockets have something there, maybe a little more defense and a bit more bigger bodies, I think, on the roster. I think they can give the Tips a run, especially in a one-and-done type of game.
And I didn't learn this, I think, until the 2017 Memorial Cup here in Regina, where there's a different strategy for the coaches and the teams because those TV timeouts are so important.
Huge. Yeah, that's right. And that's why you can play more of your better players, right? You can have your first line guys playing a ton, and you can essentially go to not quite 4 D-men, but if you have, your top 2 pairs, I think you're going to be in pretty good shape. So it'll be interesting to see how the Rockets handle that. I think Kelowna's got enough depth. I think you'll see maybe a little bit of the third line. I really don't see the fourth line getting involved whatsoever, I think, in a series or in a tournament of this magnitude because the competition is just too elite. But from a Kelowna Rocket perspective in the playoffs, I mean, TJ Gindler's the stud. He's the guy that's going to draw all the attention, and for good reason. But if you shut down TJ, you have to have more ammo in the gun. So you have to have more Kelowna Rockets elevating their play. And I think that the Rockets have that, right? I mean, again, they wanted to make sure at the trade deadline that they had enough push up front offensively. And with Peyton Kettles returning, a second-round NHL draft pick of the Pittsburgh Penguins, who was hurt after a trade with the Swift Current Broncos, and he's only played 3 games of the Rockets since he was acquired in that deal. He'll make his triumphant return on Friday night, and he'll make a massive impact because, in my opinion, he's arguably the best 18-year-old defenseman in the entire WHL.
I asked you about your most memorable Memorial Cup. You said, obviously, the winning and all that. Does that one supersede 1989 and Tim Tisdale's goal when you're a young kid in Swift Current?
You want to know what? I look back at that goal, and it was a shame because I was such a Bronco fan at the time, born and raised in Swift Current. And I watched that game on television that night. And a lot of people ask me even today, why did you not go up to Saskatoon to watch the Broncos play in the Memorial Cup Championship final? And to that day, that's probably my biggest regret. I'm not sure exactly I don't know if I was working at CKSW at the time and they wouldn't let me off. I'm not sure what happened, but yeah, 89, special year, special team, especially after what happened to the team back in 86. I mean, if you really want to go into the minutia, I mean, I was at the public funeral back in 86. And so, again, to see the Swift Current Broncos, do what they did in 1989, you celebrated. You felt like you were a part of it, and you felt for the players. And I don't know, it was a happy tear. You kind of shed a tear, though, for exactly what went down on that night. But, yeah, I wish I would have been in the building.
So we got maybe 2004, 1989 Memorial Cup, and then 1998 Swift Current Flag Football Championship. Is that how it would go down? Absolutely.
You at the helm. Yeah, you're calling the shot. I remember you came in as a ringer. I'm thinking, okay, Barney Shynkaruk, how good can he be? Okay, so you're telling me to do like a 30-yard out, and I'm like, okay, he's not going to he won't even be able to get the balls in my hands. He won't even get the ball in my hands. What does he do? Throws the dart down the field. Touchdown, champions. What a night it was.
Oh man, this is okay. I'm excited. I like the Rockets' chance. I like how they, like, you talk about how they're built and the time off here. It's gonna be an interesting tournament to watch. Regan, so much fun catching up with you. Beautiful backdrop there. I love you. All we needed in the back was this a CRX parked, and that would have made me really jealous.
I love that vehicle. I love that vehicle. Then they went to the Del Sol. Why did Honda go to the Del Sol? Never should have done that. Never.
Have a good week, man. I appreciate it.
Take care.
There he is, voice of the Kelowna Rockets, originally from Swift Current, Saskatchewan. Regan Bartel joining us on the Western Pizza Guest Hotline. Memorial Cup fires up Friday in Kelowna. It is a sports cage on the home of sports in Saskatchewan, 620 CKRM. No transactions for the Riders, but if you heard earlier, Tavon Campbell was back on the field. The green and white up in Saskatoon today. National Hockey League Conference Finals start tonight. West Coast first, Vegas at Colorado, 6 p.m. Puck drop. World Championships today. Germany, USA going into the shootout. It was USA narrowly getting by the Germans. Sweet yellow Skoda in the corner of that game as well. NBA tonight, Spurs, Thunder, Game 2. Colson and I very curious about that. Spurs up 1-0. Blue Jays play the New York Yankees 5:05 first pitch. SportsCage.com poll. Do you agree with NHL's punishment imposed on the Vegas Golden Knights for not meeting the media? Vote at SportsCage.com. That is hour one in the books. Hour two coming up on the Cage. Training camp report, Eric Francis, and more. We'll be right back after the news. Welcome back to the Sports Cage. Prairieland Rentals text line is buzzing. You guys have questions. Most of them I can't answer, so we're going to pose them to Dave and Luke coming up in a moment with our training camp report. Maybe we'll give them to Scott Schultz, old 96er, who's coming in hour three. There's a couple of hockey ones here for Eric Francis as he's in Colorado. Avalanche Golden Knights game 1 this evening. If you got basketball questions, fire them away to Colson. He'll be able to answer those. It's for Regina Motor Products on this Wednesday. $120 off genuine parts, brake pads, and rotors right now, and you get a no-charge brake inspection. So if your brakes are a little grindy, visit Regina Motor Products. Regan Bartel joined us on the Western Pizza Guest Hotline right before the news. The Memorial Cup in Kelowna sounds all right to me. That backdrop looked all right. It's been a long time since I've been to Kelowna. It isn't. That's the Lions. Who are the Lions playing in Kelowna this year?
Good question. Let me look up their schedule real quick.
That'd be a good game to go. I'm curious how that one goes off. How hot it is. How many people on a one-off? It would seem to make a lot of sense.
So the games are June 27th and July 4th. And
America's birthday.
Yeah. And they are playing Calgary on the 27th and Edmonton on the 4th.
That'd be well attended.
Yeah, should be. Because that's decently close, right? Like, it's closer to Berta than it is to Vancouver.
Oh, there'll be tons of Calgary people and Edmonton people getting out. They're getting their Kelowna on. Everybody wants to pretend that they live in Kelowna. Drive big fancy car, shirt unbuttoned, chains, lots of cologne.
I'm very curious to see how the stadium setup will look like.
Yes.
Because I'm like, is it going to be on the water? If it's on the water, are there going to be boat guys coming up to the stadium to watch?
Boat guys and girls. Lots of fake stuff.
Yeah.
But there's I don't think the stadium's on the water. It's where it'd be like where the Okanagan Sun plays. I've never been there, but I've seen it. I've seen highlights. So it looks like a good facility. Okanagan Sun's got no shortage of money. When they came and played the Thunder here 2 years ago, and they chartered a private bird in for family, players, everybody. You're looking up the stadium?
I am right now. It does not look like it's on the water. Apple Bowl Stadium.
What's it hold, like just regular before they put in the extra seats? Let me guess.
Okay.
5,500.
Lower.
42.
Much lower.
Really?
It is
It's
in the
got a
thousands.
one grandstand.
It is in the thousands, but according to the quick Wikipedia search here, it is 2,314 natural capacity. It has been expanded a few times. It's hosted the Canadian Bowl a couple times, and those games in 2000, it held a crowd of 6,200.
Okay.
So they can get it up there. They're expecting to expand it to 17.5 and to 20,000 for the BC games. So
Say that again?
for the BC games,
20,000?
they're expecting to expand it to between 17.5 and 20,000 people. I mean, hey,
That's a lot of moved in
yeah,
seat bleachers.
yeah, but Old Taylor Field had a capacity of what, just below 30.
When you
And
pull,
for the Grey Cup, they had it up over 55, if I remember correctly.
I think we talked about this on the show around the Grey Cup. When you pull up the aerial view of the 1995 Grey Cup here, huddle up in Saskatchewan, great logo and parka, by the way. When you pull up that aerial view and you look at the seating on the one end that they put in, how high it was, wasn't it over the street?
I think so.
That'd be the north end zone. It was over this, and it looked so not on code.
I'm just grabbing it
Like,
here. Give
just-
me 1 second.
Glad nothing bad happened there. I was like, if I would have had a seat in there, knowing how paranoid I am with stuff like that, I think I would have taken the option. There, if you're watching the stream, there's Colson doing fantastic work again. Look at that north end zone. Somebody out there listening has to know somebody that worked on this project. Well, the south end zone's no joke either. They're both like, doesn't that look rickety?
Yeah.
Is that the right word?
Yeah, I would say it is. Even the 2013 Grey Cup, I went to it with my dad, and there was a few of them where you're like, I'm glad we're in the regular stands.
Like that thing, that is. Have you ever seen the British Open in St. Andrews? The stands that they put behind the 18th green are very similar to that, and it goes all the way down to the street, and then there's a hotel that Kohler, the company, bought, and then that gets pretty much washed out because they build this whole. Can you pull that back up, Colson? It's wild how high. I can't believe they were able to do that. Like that's to code. I'm no construction guy by any means. It just doesn't look safe. I miss that stadium though.
Oh yeah.
I miss the smells, the popcorn, the hot dog, the burgers, tubs of beer. I fell at the Bon Jovi concert, almost killed myself, almost broke my knee.
Good memories. Good memories.
St. John's Ambulance, shout out. They helped me out. Yeah, that was good times. Okay, training camp report coming up in it. But we got, first off, some breaking news here for Blue Jays fans. Jose Barrios underwent full Tommy John surgery today.
Oh, no.
31-year-old. That usually takes 12 to 18 months to come back from. Don't look good for Jose. Clutch Performer, you lead the way.
Clutch Performer.
The SportsCage Clutch Performer for Keln Solar. Thinking about saving money by using solar power? Keln Solar is a local family company that can put solar panels on your home, business, or farm. KelnSolar.com.
It's a good thing you brought up baseball there, because my first Clutch Performer is the latest phenomenon that's hit
Banana ball?
No, that's not the latest.
That story's crazy.
Banana ball is literally in a league of its own.
Yes.
But no, this is the St. Louis Cardinals. So on Friday, with my little bit of research into it, basically, long story short, a club team in like single A came up to the Cardinals game just to watch, have some fun, whatever. And they decided in the middle of the game, they probably guzzled a few, whatever. They decided, let's go tarps off, start whipping the crowd into a frenzy, whatever. A few other fans around them started joining them. And then, so I believe this was Friday, the Cardinals end up walking off with a single, the Kansas City Royals. And there's the shot right now.
Oh,
There's
wow.
so many people have joined them. They're just losing it. Players are losing it, right? So after the game, and here I have the audio of it, this is the manager after the game.
started that in right field, I'll do whatever I need to do to make sure they come every game, because that was awesome. Not only them, but everybody that showed up today. That was a fun environment. Go ahead.
You guys could.
Yeah, so that's Ollie. I forget his last name, but the manager loved it. He's like, I'll do whatever I need to. So he bought out the section for the next 2 games and gave the tickets away for free. Fans filled it out. They won the next game and then lost. But where was it here? I have the next one, which was on Monday here. I guess the team finally had to go back. The team who started this all finally had to go back. So they gave them the first pitch, and the guy doing the pitch takes his tarp off, whips it around again.
I saw this.
Yeah, just living it up, right? And way outside the zone when he finally does pitch the ball. But, I mean, after a weekend like this, can you blame him?
Oh, he missed.
Like, way outside. So that, good. And then that Cardinals win again with a walk-off homer.
Who's going to do it in a big way? 3-run walk-off homer.
And, like, look how big the section is now.
Jeez.
So...
All males. Tops
yeah.
are, from what we can tell.
Yeah, but, like, even... I think I ended it too quick there. Like, the guy who hit the home run was running around, like, pretending to whip the tarp around.
That's
the
good.
Mascot is. So I'm like, hey, Cardinals fans, Cardinals, good job. And they even put out this this tweet earlier today. Join the movement. They're fully designating that area now.
I love it.
So they're having a lot of fun. So that's mine.
Clutch performer for Kellen Solar in Lumsden, Saskatchewan. If you're thinking solar, family-run company, give them a shout. They will get you hooked up. Anything you need solar, Kellen Solar. Okay, sprinkle of the day while we're here. I look at the series winners under futures at sportselect.com. That's who sponsors this. You can make your picks online, generate a QR code. Series winners, Colorado, Vegas. Vegas is paying $290 to win. Colorado, obviously the favorite at $130. That's in the West. In the East, Montreal is $285. So Vegas is actually more of a dog than Montreal slightly. Montreal $285 to win the series against the Carolina Hurricanes. Again, you can go bet on these at sportselect.com. Every bet is 100% legal. You can make your picks online with generating a QR code or do it at your Lotto Spot retailer. Must be 18 plus to play. Play responsibly. Chance of winning some cash in hand. I love the Sports Select futures. So many different options there, and it doesn't end with hockey. You got French Open, you got basketball, you got NASCAR, Formula One, sportselect.com. Okay, Rough Rider Foundation 50-50 is back. Riders 50-50. There's 3 prizes this week because we have a game up in Saskatoon. $1,000 co-op gift cards to the winner. 3 of those available. Deadline to get your 50-50 ticket for this weekend's game, Friday at 10 p.m. at riders5050.ca. Speaking of the Riders, we're going back at the training camp in Saskatoon, and we come back. It is a Sports Cage on the home of sports in Saskatchewan, streaming through our YouTube channel at sportscage.com. Just dropped 2. We got a little sit-down one-on-one. Dave and Tavon Campbell, as he was back on the practice field today. That will be coming up in hour 3. Let's get the Rider talk going. Let's go back up to training camp, brought to you by the Red Zone Sports Bar, located behind the Saskatoon Travelodge, where Dave and Luke are. Luke, I got your text message. We can maybe touch on that earlier. A surprising top 5. More surprising from a guy that didn't want to talk basketball. You went deep. Kobe, MJ, Barkley, Tim Duncan, and Shaq. I gotcha. Tim Duncan's kind of forgot about. Yeah. Forgot about. I thought Shaq. I'm more of Jason Williams. White chocolate. Man, that guy could move the ball around. Oh, that Stevie Nash, Spud Webb, just for what he was able to do. Hey, question on the Prairie Land Rentals text line right off the hop. Brandon wants to know, hey, guys, can the Riders keep practicing after the second preseason game, or do they have to take it off as they have the first week bye?
They keep practicing until the allotted training camp time is done, right? So once the allotted training camp time for the league is done, so after the game, they're actually moving back to Regina. So camp shifts back to Regina. They'll finish camp there, and then once the regular season picks up, that's when the official bye starts. But like they're practicing all the way through the allotted training camp time.
Yeah, right up to the 30th.
Yeah.
So that's when the bye week, for lack of a better term, kicks in for the Riders.
Yeah.
Paul on the text line, I don't know the answer to this too, and I would say no, because it would have been big news and we would have heard about it. Does Dave or Luke know if U Sport has made a decision about field size and goalposts next season?
They have not.
I got strong feelings about that, though. I don't think that U Sport should adjust. And the reason why is because the Canadian game is the Canadian game. And the CFL is a professional league. If you're good enough to potentially play in a professional league, you're going to be good enough to adapt to the width in the field, right? So you see all these NCAA guys come up here, right? They adapt, right? Hey, by the way, guys, you have to be 1 yard off the ball, and the wide receivers are going to just run right at you because of the thing we call the waggle. Here's the different rules, blah, 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 right? Like you adapt. And we have to remember that there's only 1% of the guys that played football after high school are going to get a chance to play in the Canadian Football League. So I actually don't think we should adapt at all. I think the U Sport field should all stay the same. I think that if there are guys fortunate enough to get an opportunity to play CFL football, they'll make the adaptation as well, right? I think that one of the biggest pieces, though, and we were talking about a bit about this today, is I think the bigger piece is potentially moving the league up, right? Start date up. And I was talking to somebody from U Sport about this yesterday, and one of the things they flagged is that, hey, it's not necessarily the rules and stuff. It's our draft picks. What are we going to do with the Canadian Football League U Sport draft? Because our draftees, if they're in training camp 3 weeks before it's normally started, our draft picks are still going to have exams. Right. So I think that that's kind of where the league needs to shift and try to figure out, hey, look, if we're going to move camp all the way back, it has implications on the kids that are getting drafted from U Sport because they're still going to be in school. Right. I think that there's a number of things, but I would not, if I'm U Sport, if I'm the governing body, I don't change a thing at all.
So then
because it's not pivot. Why would you pivot? Why would you pivot if only 1% of the players ever that play U Sport are ever going to even have a chance at a roster? There's no need to pivot your game.
So then the question that he asks, his follow-up question was, does that mean training camp will shift to Regina? Pointless to train on a field that's not the same width size that they would play on.
Well, that's a great question too, right? And maybe it does shift to Regina, right? I know that it's great to have training camp out in Saskatoon. I love a team's ability to just get their guys all spending time with each other and around each other for a certain amount of time. I think that you look at Montreal, they used to do it in Bishops. There's you look at Winnipeg that did it out of Canad stadiums, the hotels and stuff like that. Keep your team together. So I think that you can do that in Regina, right? But again, that's for the partnerships and the stakeholders of the university and the Riders.
And I guess maybe to jump on the fact train, for what I do know for sure is at Griffith Stadium. So of course the uprights would be the biggest challenge or obstacle, if you will. At Griffith Stadium, 100% for sure the goalposts can spin, so you can move them around. I don't know if they're removable, but over at Saskatoon Minor Football Field, the field and the goalposts can actually be moved around into a couple of different spots. Cool. Again,
I don't think the grassroots needs to change either. No. I think that if the Canadian Football League has determined that these rules are best for the game, they also may potentially lead to revenue streams. That's one decision that they make that will be good for television. But it's a professional football league. Yeah. Right. If I got so let me ask you something. If I got an invitation out of the University of Calgary, right, to play in the Arena Football League where the thing's like 50 yards long and it's 25 feet wide or 25 yards wide, right? What do I have to do? I have to adapt. Yeah. I have to adapt. Exactly. I have to adapt. Yeah. I can't petition all of U Sport to change everything just because I have an opportunity to play. Our kids in U Sport are not all getting a chance to play Canadian football, right? It is not the Canadian Football League's responsibility to sit there and make sure everything works for grassroots. It's their responsibility to support grassroots football, right? Put some money to it if money's there. I know that, for instance, the Saskatchewan Roughriders do a great job putting money into the community and building grassroots football, but that's where it stops. The Canadian Football League itself needs to grow, right? And it should not be responsible. So again, my take, don't change anything if you use sports or your high school.
And I'm just saying, logistically, if you needed to,
exactly. That's what you're saying. You're saying there is a mechanism, but here's the problem, though. We've got an embarrassment of riches out here in Saskatchewan, right? Well, this is a football crazy and proud province. Other provinces don't have the resources, right? Other provinces have different complications. For instance, you look at Ontario and Quebec, they're not able to intimately gather, right? You can't get Football Ontario and everybody around each other because they're massive provinces, right? So the scope is different, right? So you're going to have, and that's another reason why not to change anything, because the scope in every single province is way different, right? Yeah. Manitoba and Saskatchewan, you're a little bit more intimate. You can develop a little bit more of relationships, things like that. Larger provinces, completely different scope.
What? Because now we got some Prairie Land Rentals text line heat coming, boys. If the CIS does not change the football rules, where do teams that share stadiums with CFL teams play? Well, that's where they're going to have to work on figuring that out. The CFL team, what I said last year, CFL team's got to be on the hook, right? They got to make this work at some point. Because what do we got? We got Calgary. Sasky obviously here.
Why do the CFL teams have to be on the hook? I don't understand.
Because they're making the change.
Look at what's happening at the University of Calgary. They're looking to build their own space. They're looking to just separate from themselves from the Stampeders altogether, right?
Ideally.
This is. Yeah.
Ideally, Mr. Semple comes and says, we're going to build a smaller stadium on campus at the U of R, which is not an alumni, so I don't think this would happen. For sure. They get their own place and all that, but we are in a small farming community of Regina, Saskatchewan, where the city owns the stadium. Part of the deal was you want that traffic in there. So then you got high school, which is huge there, as we all know. Then you got junior, and you got university, which I agree. I think why change? Like, you think about all the small town fields and no, keep those the same. So then the onus would have to be on the CFL teams to make sure that it's easily compatible and able to change.
Yeah, maybe if you want to stay in the same building, right? Let's figure out maybe different. Is there some technology that we can lay out that reconfigures the Okay, now this is not an idea, but it's a concept, right, Barney? You know how these days, you look at the Montreal Canadiens, you look at all of the teams, they literally light up their ice. Yep. Right, with with lighting that literally makes it look like whatever. Yep. Right? Is there an opportunity to use technology to shift the field boundaries using and again, that's probably not a solution, but I'm just saying it shouldn't be on the CFL. Here's the other thing too. Does the CFL ever come to the university and say, hey, that new individual donor that just gave you $2 million, man, we'd like a piece of that? Right? They don't say that. You know what I mean? Like universities fundraise on their own. They have their own boards. Eventually they're going to have to figure something out minus the CFL. I'm just saying, and again, I'm not saying that the CFL should just walk. I'm just saying there should be a conversation. Yes, the CFL should be involved, but at the end of the day, I don't see why the CFL needs to be financially on the hook for some of this stuff. You know what I mean?
I don't think you're that far off with basically having a blank slate of field turf or whatever, and then being able to easily manipulate or put lines on that field without washing and cleaning it. Dave, sorry.
You've already got that in Ottawa and Hamilton. The lines aren't permanent there. They aren't sewn in. Right?
There you go.
And the Saskatchewan Roughriders were talking about it. And again, just trying to use instant recall on this, but the turf at Mosaic Stadium is due to be replaced, right, relatively soon.
There you go.
They're talking about not stitching in the lines like they are, instead making and ensuring it's still a multi-purpose facility, and you just go ahead and use those lines, right?
I'm just saying there's investments that you can make that aren't complete, like build a new stadium type of investments. By the way, and this is only a provincial thing, Saskatchewan is blessed with two of the best minor football, grassroots football fields in Canada. Leibel Field and Saskatoon minor football fields. Is that
that's the one.
Those fields, if I played in U Sport, I'd be just fine playing there. You might have to add some seats in Leibel Field, but man, that is those fields are blessings. Right? Like, guys, we've got to stop. We got to stop. I get it. You want to play in the same stadium but the last time I checked, there wasn't one time where the University of Manitoba Bisons sold out Investors Group Field or whoever sponsors that now. There wasn't one time that the University of Regina, right, despite hosting the venue, ever sold out Mosaic Stadium. Like, let's just understand our scope. Let's figure out what our resources look like, and let's work within that.
I think you're bang on when you look at Leibel Field and you have nothing but room on that one side behind the benches where the berm is to put up another, however many seats. There you go. U of R, close to the U of R, Friday nights, the kids get rowdy up there, beer gardens buzz around, and Gordie, it'll always be Gordie Howe Bowl to me, but that's another fantastic facility, and how that was. It was great back in the day until fall, and they had to take the grass
out here, Barney. I'm telling you, you don't need and every province has their little. There's going to be, if the provincial sport organizations that represent football look hard enough, they're going to figure out where the resources to actually manage through this are.
Okay, we got Tavon Campbell coming up in hour 3. Dave, you just dropped Coulson. We don't have that. Okay, we don't have that. But I wanted, Dave, you talked about Kendi Charles earlier. We want to play that interview. Can you tee that up for us and throw to it?
Kendi was on the team last year. I thought he made his mark. He learned. He bided. He was sat back and I thought took a lot of reflective moments last year and used the opportunity to grow. He's come in and I think Luke has really hit the ground running thus far this season. He had a great performance with a sack and 3 tackles in Calgary on Monday. And again, he's looking up and looking towards what he can do this weekend in Winnipeg to secure his spot on not just the roster, but also the depth chart.
Defensive lineman Kendi Charles, we're in the midst of training camp. Tell me a little bit about how things have gone for you thus far.
It's been going pretty well. I was here last year, so I'm pretty familiar with the staff and the scheme. So now it's just about putting it all together and compete.
You've led me right into my question. You're pretty familiar. Of course you are. Your former teammate is now your coach. How has that gone with Micah Johnson as Coach Johnson?
Yeah, man, he's doing a great job. Like I told him, even after rookie camp, I told him, man, you're doing a great job. Just the things he's doing and like the way the details, we're working out the details. Like in the game we just played, man, he saw something, he told me, and I went out there and did it. And that's how I got my last sack. So he's doing a great job, man.
So does Micah Johnson get half a sack for that?
I think so.
I don't know.
Because he should. Because he definitely saw it. He definitely have an eye for the game, and he does great things, man. And he's doing a great job.
There's been a lot of turnover, though, and your position in the defensive line. So obviously the spotlight is on it a little bit. Mm-hmm. How do you feel that you're coming together as a group, and is it something that anyone should be concerned about?
Really, I don't think it's no concern at all with the guys we have in our room. Anyone who make the team and is going to be special, honestly. Everyone in the group is super tight, and we have a good bond, so we helping each other get better every day. So anyone who get on the active roster is going to do great things. So I think the competition is definitely competition there among ourselves. There's no animosity. It's just us competing, and I think it's going well.
When we were watching the game on Monday, Luke Mullinder pointed to me before one play, and he said, just watch how you're lining up and how you're executing your assignment. You've had a chance to watch the film. How did you feel about Monday's game?
I feel like I pride myself on getting where I need to be, doing my job at a high level, and obviously showcase what I have within the framework of defense. And I think that's, in my career, that's what I've been able to do well. But yeah, the game went well. When it comes to that, like, Coach Micah had a good plan for us, and I think we execute a lot of things that he wanted to see. And we just got to build on that game and come to Saturday and keep building and get better on Saturday.
How do you approach this week? Because it is such a compressed time frame between games. Are you prepping for the next game, or are you still making sure that you're executing and being evaluated at the level you need to be at?
Obviously, we're still in camp, so it's kind of both at the same time. You still got to make sure you're sharp and compete, but also prepare for the next opponent. But I think right now, mostly what we focus on is on ourselves, like sharpening our tools and working on our craft, working on yourself, because obviously the preseason is important for the guys to evaluate you, but at the same time, you got to showcase yourself and do the plays right and just focus on the opponent also, because every time I'm about to play someone, even if it's preseason, I like to take a look at last season, even though they might have new players there, but sometimes it's still the same scheme. So that's how we're approaching it. We're not too focused on the opponent, we're just focusing on ourselves.
Kendi, from the outside looking in, so far so good. Thank you so much for your time and all the best moving forward.
Thank you. I appreciate you for your time.
That's right. I already hit Sports Select tonight for tonight's game. Last time we talked yesterday, I don't think you had talked to Kelly McCrimmon yet, but then he did speak to the media. He seemed very standoffish.
Yeah. I think when we spoke, I said we're going to speak to him in an hour, and I'd be stunned if he addressed any of the issues and just kind of gave us the old look. We've put out a press release, and we're not going to discuss any of that. But by opening, and good on him, I think, for opening up the press availability yesterday by reading off of a statement that he had written, and I thought it was really well done. Look, I know that it's not popular, what he's doing by holding his coach ransom to a degree, and also with, I know most people don't care that they didn't open up the dressing room to the media. I mean, who cares? It is important. As a journalist, I'll tell you, that is the conduit to the fans, and you're insulting the fans when you do that, but I know most people don't see it that way. But I have to say, the Bruce Cassidy situation, it is so on brand with the Vegas Golden Knights and their owner, who's all about winning, and be damned anyone or anything else. All that matters is that we have the best chance to win. I think he has every right to do what he's done. The fact that it got aired out in public was not their choice. These things happen sometimes. Well, it's never happened that someone's turned down the opportunity to talk to a fired coach. But guess what? They have that right. And I don't buy that they're too busy focusing on the playoffs. They had 6 days off. They could have made a decision. But I think it's because, look, that 3, 4, 5 teams are going to be interested in your coach because he's the hottest commodity out there. You should be able to have a bit of a say on who may or may not get to interview him. So you want him to go to your number one chief rival in Edmonton? No, you don't. You want him to go to Vancouver where they're not winning for another 5 or 10 years? Absolutely you do. So you can help dictate that. I think they're taking a lot of heat on this when they probably shouldn't.
Do you think, because he mentioned that he's talked to Cassidy, do you honestly think he's talked to him? Was it maybe a text message or an email or a postcard of some sort?
A postcard. I don't know how they communicated, but they're big boys, right? He can pick up the phone and say, look, this has caused quite a stir all over the league. I want to tell you where we're coming from. And look, I'm not sure Cassidy probably liked the conversation or what the outcome is. But at the end of the day, I'd be willing to wager a whole lot of money that Bruce Cassidy will be coaching in the National Hockey League next year. So what if it has to be delayed by 2 weeks or a month and it doesn't suit the timelines of some of their chief rivals? Boo-hoo. All the more reason why you should not give the other teams the chance to talk to them.
Do you think that this might happen more often now or less often now that the Vegas Golden Knights maybe opened up this door?
I think it could happen more. I mean, it's precedent setting, and It's not popular, and maybe other teams don't want to feel that wrath, but these guys aren't scared to do it. And, look, the whole thing is, I don't want to say the whole thing's unprecedented because coaches have been fired with 5-8 games left in the season, but it's a very unique situation that they find themselves in right now. And I got no problem with it. Like, I kind of like that the Vegas Golden Knights wear that black hat in the league and are they're the LA Raiders of the National Hockey League. I'm okay with that.
New York Yankees, New England Patriots, just public enemy number one. Great band, by the way. Avs practice line today. I'm looking. Makar was the only skater absent on the ice for the Avs.
No, it was an optional, so not everybody skated, but Makar is the only guy who they've declared out. Everybody else was kind of back up and missed practice or whatever. Lehkonen is back in. That's a big deal. Josh Manson's back in. Brett Burns is back in. But Cale Makar not being back in, that's a big, big, big one. Obviously the best defenseman in the world. And he came out and skated. We saw him about 45 minutes before practice. He came out and skated by himself for about 15 minutes, and then he left, and nobody was sure what to read into that. This guy has rarely skated on off days or in practices for the last 3 months. Because he's been so banged up. So everyone just assumed that he was still going to make it and play in the game because he hasn't missed a playoff game. Well, this is significant. And the only thing else that they say it's day to day. And, I think it's a whole lot more serious than they're going to let us know. That shoulder, the way he recoiled after he took that hit to his shoulder late that last game, that's scary. And add that up with the hip injury he had earlier and the leg injury he had before that, I'm like, we may not see Cale Makar for a while. And given the fact that the only thing that matters to this team, the only benchmark they have is cup or bust, right? They can afford to sit him out now, the next game, even the next game. But if they start becoming on the brink and losing games, that's when they have to make tough decisions and start risking his health for the short term and make him play.
I know what you're going to say, and you're going to look at me like I got rocks for brains because you've done this before. More important, missing tonight's game, Makar or Mark Stone?
Yeah, Stone's not even their best player. So, I know you're just asking the question. And Makar's the best defenseman in the world, period, end of sentence, will be for the next 5-10 years. He can control a game more so than Mark Stone ever could. Stone's their leader, and he's a great player. Stone did skate this morning by himself. By the way, the team didn't skate at all. He skated by himself at Ball Arena. They won't say a damn thing about injuries at this time of year, so he'll be a game-time decision. I wouldn't be surprised if you see Stone back before you see Makar back, but who knows with these things. That's just a gut feeling, So Stone is just one of 9 top forwards. Makar is the best defenseman they have.
Okay, so this is, and I'm really just trying to talk myself into that I'm still alive in some hockey drafts because I don't think Vegas is that far off. But when you go through what I'm looking at right now, Eric, are the lines, okay? You got Barbashev, Eichel, Dorofeev. That line's been an absolute buzzsaw. So, yeah, on the other side, you got Landeskog, McKinnon, and Natchez. Okay?
Yep.
So, McKinnon, unreal. I don't know if that Colorado first line is that much better than that Vegas first line, personally.
Man, I mean, what's fascinating to me, okay, I'll disagree because I think any line with McKinnon and Natchez on it is probably the best line in hockey, or right there. And Landeskog is a nice compliment. No, he doesn't get 80 points again, a point a game like he used to, but he plays other rules that allow the other two guys to be that good. What's fascinating to me, if you start delving into the lines, is the way that the teams have spread things out. Like Marner's on the second line. They've spread stars out there's a star on every line for the top 3 lines for each team, right? And that's what's so fascinating. And sorry, you were going to say something, but I want to count it off. There's 10 centers in this game, okay? 10 of them. And usually you're lucky if you have 3 or 4 that are real impact centers. Listen to these lineups. Eichel, Carlson, Hurdle, and Nick Dowd. And the fifth center is Marner, played center, when for a good chunk of the season and was successful. On the other side, it's McKinnon, Nelson, Kadri's your third line center. Jack Drury is a solid fourth liner, and Nicholas Waugh you got at the deadline to be a center, but he's now on your second line as a winger. So there's just so much star power in this series. No other series can compare.
That's what I'm getting at, and I'm just talking myself into Vegas being okay, because this is how I talk to my son when they're at the playoffs, so that Bantam Hockey playoffs. I said, okay, that's their best guy, your best guy. Boom. Their guy, this guy, this guy, this guy. After that, you guys are deeper. Or a team's deeper, right? So I look at Vegas. You got Howden, Carlson, Marner, second line is what it looks like because Stone's not there. Saad, veteran experience, been through it. Hurdle, veteran experience. He's got to have a coming out party. Sissons, veteran. And then Dowd, Kolazar, and Smith. Yeah, so on the other side, Colorado, you mentioned the guys. Kadri, I think, was such a beauty pickup for them late. One thing that maybe it's not that big of a deal anymore that I started thinking about today when I was going through my wagering, it's like 5,000 feet above sea level in Colorado. It's a different skate up there. Yeah, and their record at home this year is, I think it's 39-6-1. They haven't lost in the playoffs yet at home. They've outscored their opponents this year at home in playoffs and regular season by 61 goals. So it is utter dominance. It's going to be, they've got T-shirts for everybody in the crowd tonight, sitting there waiting. It's going to be an absolute gong show. It's a tough building to play in. But again, with Makar being out, I'm with you. The more I look at the depth of Vegas, the more I start to squint and go, well, maybe. So I'm with you a little bit because I came to this city here in Denver thinking like, this team is just so to me, the trade for Kadri was that move where you're looking back at the end of the cup and go, that was the straw that broke the cap. That was the one that put them over the top. Like, you didn't even need to do that, but you did it. And it was just almost overkill just to make sure you get the cup. I know it's not that simple, but man, are they deep. And I still think in this series, knock on wood, and I'm not wishing ill will on anyone, there's going to be a significant injury in this series that could change things one way or the other. I think both teams are going to play extremely hard. Something's going to happen, or maybe it's a suspension. I don't know. So while we were sitting here, I placed a couple of sprinkles because I've been hitting these points a game, 2-guy parlay. I got Shea Theodore and Pavel Dorofeyev on one ticket to get a point each. Yeah. And then I got Howden and Eichel, real nice odds on this one, to get a point each. So we'll see how it goes. If you do get a chance, and I know you won't because you'll be up in the press box, grab one of those T-shirts. We could put it up in the SportsCage studio. We'll be like, hey, Eric got us a playoff T-shirt from Colorado. You're trying to put all my laundry up there, aren't you? Like, what else? I don't know what you're going to ask for next. You want one of my suits? Well, I look behind you. You think you got an empty suitcase behind you, and I think I see that hoodie that your wife and kids don't like. Funny story about the hoodie. So on the weekend, we went up to the cottage, or the cabin, and I always say about the cabin, and I think a lot of people who have cabins understand this when I say that's where all clothes go to die. Like, before throwing it out, you just say, I might as well just put it up at the cabin. We can sit around the fire with it, and who cares if you get a spark on you, or you know what I mean? Or I'm doing some work out in the bush, and it doesn't matter if it's ruined because it's just about to get thrown out. So my daughter was in my wife's closet looking for stuff. She's got some corporate internship, so she's wearing my wife's stuff every day. She goes, oh, you got Dad's hoodie in here. And my wife had stolen it because I brought it to Europe. She stole it when I came back and hid it and was going to throw it away. And I said, can you please bring it to the cottage so that we can get a referendum on this thing? I want everybody at the lake to vote on whether it's yay or nay. And Dude, we never got around to it. But when that referendum happens, I'm going to let you know whether I was verified or vilified. Does Sylvan Lake have a Canada Day parade? like a lot of town sites and cabins. If that, you put a float in and just you standing there and get people to vote while you run through the parade. There's an idea. Just get it all out. I might come and help you with that. I'll drive up from Whitefish.
I love it. Look, I should put that as my avatar on Twitter, just to really irk my wife. That's a good idea. I'm gonna do that.
Okay, clean up that suitcase in the back next time. We'll regroup. Have a good one tonight. Grab me one of those T-shirts.
Do you think I brought enough underwear? I'm here for a month. Like, just tell me. I don't know. Anyway, we'll talk about that next.
You can skip the dishes, those now, from like Giant Tiger and places if you run out.
You get underwear delivered?
You can get anything delivered.
Yeah,
Instacart lets you pick your bananas. You've heard the song.
Okay, let's do this. If you are traveling for a month, how many pairs of underwear do you bring?
You got to do laundry. I've done through this in Europe. I did laundry. I tried to figure out a washing machine and drying machine and finish. I was like, come on. Yeah. Anyway.
Exactly. Yeah. So I think the answer is 7 or 8 because intermittently you're going to have to do the laundry, and there you go. Okay.
That's why I'm just going to yoga pants and I won't wear underwear. All right. There's our NHL insider, Eric Francis, brought to you by Sports Select. Sports Select, make your picks online, generate a QR code, head to your lotto spot retailer. Every bet is 100% legal, must be 18 plus to play. That's a SportsCage. We'll be right back. Game 1 of the Western Conference Final goes tonight in Colorado, 6 p.m. puck drop, Vegas Avalanche. NBA tonight, Spurs and Thunder, Game 2. Spurs surprising the Thunder in Game 1 and lead 1-0. World Hockey Championships today. Germany and the USA went to a shootout. USA pulls it out there. Major League Baseball, Blue Jays Yankees, 5:05 first pitch. Also, Jose Barrios has undergone Tommy John surgery. The 31-year-old is expected to be out 12 to 18 months. It is for Extreme Hockey and Sport. More than hockey, baseball, lacrosse, 3 locations, 2 in Regina, the new one, Temple Garden Center in Moose Jaw, under new management. Extreme Hockey and Sport, they are local. They support local. Let's go out and do our hit of the week with Crofty, Croft Electric. We got some nice weather coming up here, Crofty. What's the crew up to? What do we want to tell people today?
Yeah, finally, we got to get no snow on the ground for 24 hours. That's nice to see. The boys are all working hard. Boys and girls are working hard out and building stuff, getting ready for spring and summer. So yeah, we're excited.
What's one thing I see some neighbors in my neighborhood and doing a lot of ripping down fences, putting in sheds and all that. When it comes to the electrical side, a lot of people maybe think they can do it yourself or they have a guy, but they should really get a professional.
100%. We want to be that guy. When everybody says, I got a guy, well, we're your guy. That's part of joining our preferred customer club. Then we're your guy. You can call us anytime. We'll give you priority booking, 10% off material, and a reduced labor rate. But yeah, we want to be your guy because you're working in there. Like I call them weekend warriors. It's great to build a fence, and that's great to maybe put a railing on a deck and a few things like that. But you don't want to mess with your electrical. Let us professionals do that. I always say you don't let your cousin's neighbor's boyfriend's cousin work on your eyes. Why would you let them do your electrical?
There it is. Projects can be financed as well. Best way to find you, Crofty?
Follow us on the socials. Check us out on the web, www.croftelectric.com. And for a quick service, give us a call at 306-586-1333.
All right, my man. Thanks so much. Have a good week.
Have a good show. Bye.
There's Croft Electric. Yeah, like you said, croftelectric.com. There's the website that you can go and find everything out. All right, hour 3's coming up. Lots from Rider Training Camp. We got some Tavon Campbell audio. Dave and Luke are going to come back, and we're going to start hour 3 with Scott Schultz, the old 96er. It's a SportsCage in the home of the Riders, 620 CKRM. Welcome back to hour 3 of the SportsCage on this Wednesday. If you missed any of it so far, go back and listen to it in podcast form. Download it. We can watch it on YouTube as well. Still more to come from training camp up in Saskatoon. We're going to hear from Mark Mueller, and right now it's our segment of the week where we bring in Scott Schultz. There's an intro. Colson's working on it, Schultz.
I've got a face for radio, so
maybe you can just Get some, you know what, Colson? It's for Lakeview Insurance. And Revive Men's Health Clinic. But for Lakeview Insurance, give a quick plug, Schultz.
Hey, Lakeview Insurance, tackling all your insurance needs. Farmers, we got your back. I know everyone's out there ramping up, gearing up, and seeding in the middle of it and all the rest of it. So as things happen, contact your boys at Lakeview Insurance, 306-552-9607.
There it is. There's the intro right there. Preseason game number 1. Riders lose in Calgary. What do you make of it? Do you really dissect it that much?
What are exhibition games? What are they good for? I mean, the coaches already know what the veterans can do. The exhibition games are all about, depth chart battles, Canadians versus Americans, special teams value, situational football. So, 2 games isn't enough to really even wet your beak at getting ready. So, the CFL season, the early CFL season, games 1, 2, and 3, and 4, you're still ramping up during those games as well. So the coaches know what to expect. And when the real lights get on, they want to see, who sweats and who doesn't.
A lot was made yesterday, especially on the text line of quarterback number 2, or what we think is going to be number 2 in Jack Cohn. Maybe doesn't have the sharpest day in Calgary. Your thoughts on him?
Well, it's only preseason, so nobody's should overreact. I mean, like we said, you want to see command of the game. You want to see rhythm. You want to see confidence. You want to see decisiveness. These are the things, and it's it's his first preseason game out. So, I mean, if anything, some of the concerns that we saw was the hesitation, some late reads, maybe not driving the ball consistently. But, these are all things that will work themselves out, and that was his first opportunity. I'd rather walk a guy back than have to ramp him up.
Does he maybe get a little bit longer of a leash in your mind because he's been around so much, he's seen it, and they have a bunch of tape on him. They practice with him every day. They know what he's capable of. So to go out maybe on May 18th in Calgary and not be that sharp, they're still, Chikai. We kind of know what this guy has.
Yeah, I mean, again, I'm not sounding the alarms, but I'd rather be calming a quarterback down than trying to wake one up. You know what I mean? And like you said, he's been around. He's got experience, and we'll see where it takes us this week.
I don't want to say it's too bad, but it's typical Sasky. Where then this Braden Shager kid goes in and goes 10 for 18. We're listening to the game on the radio. It's like, whoa, this guy sounds like he's slinging it out there. 139 yards. He scampers in for a TD. But yeah, typical Sasky fashion, where right out of the gate in a nothing game, now people are like, whoa, what about this guy as number 2?
Now where there's smoke, there's fire. Let's fan this thing, right? And so, yeah, I mean, that's exciting. That's makes everything good and great. But they've got a great room. They've got guys. There is a definite pecking order, and guys are just trying to get their reps and show what they can on tape.
What jumps out at you in that D line in that game?
You know what? The effort level looks solid. I mean, there's been great turnover there. I think Mike is doing a great job as their coach. The interior push looked better than expected, and contained responsibilities look to be basically disciplined. But the preseason is tricky because the offense timing is far behind where defenses are at. Defenses always are surge forward in the early days. That's why I used to love the first couple of days of camp, because defense is just world beaten. The offense can't move the ball an inch. But then all of a sudden, day 3, day 4, day 5 come, and all of a sudden things start clicking. Yeah. There's busts and all the rest of it, right? So, I don't think there's too much concern. There wasn't any oh my God, gaps that we saw, and I think there's good competition within the room, and these guys are going to push each other. And like we talked about last week, I think the next big name is in that room. It just needs to step forward and put it in a performance.
We talked about it in hour 2, and we ran the Kendi Charles interview. Dave had a great story on Micah Johnson on the sideline and coaching him, and then he goes out and gets the sack. Like having a coach on that sideline like Micah. I don't know if you ever had a guy like that, but it's just like, it seems like he's already at full cylinders as a coach.
Yeah, just hearing the scenario, how that played out, it reminds me of Ron Este, the Swamp Dog. I mean, this guy's got a Grey Cup ring for every finger. He has done he's done it all in the CFL, and he would have those little quips. He would see something, he'd pull you aside. Think about doing this. He's they're heavy on this set. Come back inside.
Do you remember like an instance?
Well, I can remember a bunch of instances, going against guys like Brian Chu and Angus Reid over the years, and being frustrated and then having those talks and then something good happening. And that's kind of that little bit of magic of the mentor mentee, the coach player relationship. They get nothing more than a coach or mentor gets a kick out of when they impart some information onto that kid or that player and they go out and execute it.
And it says a lot too, being able to do it on tape and showing it on tape, and then next week and going out and do it, being able to do it in the heat of the game on the sideline.
Yeah. So, and that's again. That's kind of a great of having a former player as a coach, because they can see things in the now, like, oh, this is what's happening. Oh, you got to do this, and whatever that whatever that correction is or whatever that coaching is, you can go out and then see it play out in real action.
It's an interesting / weird, unique schedule because they play. They're the only game last week. Then they go this week up in Saskatoon, and in Schultz, nothing to June 13th.
Well, long gaps can cool off the competition battles. Momentum can stall. Veterans, they love the recovery time, but coaches hate losing the rhythm. And so for us as a player, it's it kind of makes you're chomping at the bit to get going. And if you're a veteran guy and you're going to be on the team, that's great, because then you can really ease in, make sure you're taking care of all the bumps and the bruises, so you can get to as close to 100% to go out there and rip someone's head off on the 13th.
Do you remember when you go back to exhibition games, maybe a guy on either aspect of this, where a guy maybe and we don't have to use names right now, but a guy that was maybe slotted in, that just had they gave him every opportunity, kind of self-destructing, and then a guy that really just grinded his way through, that was probably on a bus ticket out of town, and he ends up sticking around.
I can't quite put a finger on a guy like that, but it's like you said, like we talked about this last week, with big names coming in from the NFL, and all of a sudden they're gone, right? And so you see those situations where they've brought a guy in from another team, another league, who they really like, that he's got a name, he's got a reputation, they give him every opportunity, and it doesn't work out. And I think more times than not, you see those scenarios. Sometimes the CFL is kind of a last chance for some of those guys. And either you can swim or you're going to sink.
Yeah, I think it was one thing, and I know there was a couple of them, but the one that jumped out at me is Peter Borscht, Regina Thunder, gets in the game and then it ends up 3 targets, two for 18. Like what a high that kid must be on.
Yes, of course. And local guys, those are the performances that will get you on a team. Now that we talk about it and in the idea of conversation, Stu Ford comes to mind.
Oh, yeah.
Or even the beloved and heralded Rob Bagg. Rob Bagg went back to school.
Really?
Had a great camp. Was doing the things that we're talking about. Canadian kid, making special catches, showing his abilities on special teams. Decides to go and be a brain and go back to Queens, I guess. And so you thought, man, like that was one where you're like, I can't believe that guy would have started for us. And then the same year, you got Stu Ford, who is another Thunder guy coming up, local guy, made some decisions that we won't talk about off the field that got him off that team. Well, we of course go ahead and win the Grey Cup that year. So, and then to add insult to injury, they give him a second chance in 2008. He comes and makes the team then. So, yes, I have seen those guys that have made some decisions that have, not only ruined their ability to be on the team, but then also forfeit a Grey Cup championship.
Yeah. And you know what, though, something to be said, too, about we've all been young, and then they get that second chance and make the best of it. Do you think for these guys that are maybe they're U of R or U Sport or even the junior. Do you think it's becoming, I don't want to say easier, but are we going to start seeing more of these guys maybe getting into the league quicker?
Well, I think so. I think just everything, certain things have eroded from younger athletes, but also things have really ramped up. The specialization, the eliteness at a younger age, because of a lot of kids are putting more time in on a single sport, and then you see them winding up into colleges and universities across our great nation. And I definitely think that is going to lend itself to seeing more and more local kids making it and carrying themselves into the CFL.
I think my favorite rider last year and just everything about it was Tavon Campbell, and just how he can change a game, and just what he brought to that team, being out there in the corner with that Canadian passport.
Absolutely, and that's what makes it exciting for fans, because you get the pomp and circumstance of these big shot athletes coming out of these big schools, and then you get some of the big schools in Canada, and then you get the mix of junior guys, and then you get the sprinkle of grinders in there, and then one little diamond comes up that's from the town or from the province, and then it happened in my own case. You flower and you start doing well, and just everything is accessible and available, and a province like Saskatchewan really likes to lift those guys up.
Tavon Campbell was back on the field today. Here's Tavon talking about the group of defensive backs that he is joining.
A lot of experienced guys, a lot of young guys too, a lot of dogs, athletes, and it's exciting, man, just to be around the young boys, try to get some energy from them and fly around.
It's interesting because I just thought about this. There's a lot of young guys, Malcolm Bell included, played some good ball. There's a lot of guys that played some good ball, but now they're looking at this guy. It's like NFL, what he did last year, like looking up to him.
Absolutely, and that brings an air of a mystique and a specialness to the room, especially for that position group. And when you got those guys who are vying to not only just to get into a starting spot, then to see the things that Tavon's been able to do outside of the Riders and what he brings to the team, and to see his outstanding physical performances on the field, it only just ramps those guys up. And then who's going to be the next Tavon Campbell? Who's going to be the next guy, right?
Yeah. And then since, like we said, he just got on the field today for the Riders, he was asked if he has some catching up to do.
Nah, I don't think so. I think we just gelled so much last year that we kind of made the playbook our own. So it's really just doing what we do. It's not really, hey, we're playing this play, make sure you know the exact calls and da-da-da-da. No, we just go out there, we play off each other. I know what Fields is going to do. Fields knows what I'm going to do. So it's just second nature.
And I'm curious on this, his personal expectations for the year.
Growing from last year. I know there's a lot of things people might not have seen, but things that I definitely wanted to get better at, and plays I left on the table, plays that I could have made but I didn't, and I think that kind of makes a difference in coming back and repeating, or coming back and just not being as good, So just want to grow from last year. If I could grow from last year, who knows?
I find it interesting, Schultz, on him, because NFL pedigree. It sounds like he's a smart guy, probably put some monies away.
Yep.
Got things going on, wins a Grey Cup, and then they convince him to come back, which is great for us. Let's be honest. This is unreal. It's like to get back. It's like it's a guy that he goes and wins the Stanley Cup. And maybe a little bit, it's like, do I really want the fire? Obviously, he's got to have it. But it's probably hard to get back at her for him.
Yeah, sometimes when you get into you get comfortable and you get into a state of performance where, once you shut it off and you get away from it, it's harder and harder to get back to that feeling, to get back to that kind of frequency, right? And so that's part of it. But, that's the same thing when, during camp, some veterans, might look like average or they've taken a step back. It's because they're pacing themselves, where the young guys, they're emptying the gas tank every chance they get, because they're desperate to make a team.
And they need to. Tavon, last one from Tavon here. He says, looking back at the film, how does he want to improve from last year?
There's just so many deep ball plays that I feel like I should have had I maybe got my hand on, but I didn't pick it. And I watch it back and I'd be like, man, I should have went with 2 hands instead of 1 and stuff like that. Sometimes I double think and I double guess myself and maybe I want to jump this. Oh, no, I won't jump it. And then they throw it and I'm like, man, I should have just jumped it. But it's just little things like that to just, haunt me in my day-to-day. But, yeah, just small things.
Yeah, I like it. Set some records.
Yep.
Tavon, right?
Well, absolutely. Challenge yourself, right? And that's what it's all about, especially as you get on in the game a little bit. It's about what challenges can you continue to knock down for yourself. And that's where guys when guys feel a little complacent, when they get, a little, it's the same old thing. Nothing's really new. I'm not being challenged. Where I don't think that's the case for a guy like Tavon. There's such great talent, always nipping at his ankles, internally on this team and on the field.
All right, that is our Scott Schultz joining us. You're going to stick around if we could talk to the boys at training camp?
Absolutely.
All right, he's going to stick around. We're going to go to break. It's the Midweek Sound Off brought to you by Revive Men's Health Clinic, treatment for men's ED without pills or surgery. Visit them at revivemd.com. It's the Cage. We'll be right back with our training camp report. Stay tuned.
Protecting what you built.
Schultz is like in the intro. Hey, before we go to the training camp report, you were talking. You're following this basketball?
Oh yeah, the old brown ball.
Wembanyama, 7'5".
Dude, the thing that's so crazy about him is he looks like he'll fold and break. And that's what would happen with these big, tall guys in the past. But now, today's day and age, this guy's like a super freak athlete. He moves like a 6'6" forward.
Yeah.
I mean, the guy can move. He can do it all. He can shoot. I mean, he pushed it into double overtime last night. So I watch a lot of the YouTube clip podcast stuff of the basketball. So I get all the trash talk going.
Did you know that we started the show with this too, because we were talking, and I said I'm curious if we're going to get to a point where a 7'5" guy can play receiver, or there's more guys in the NFL just because how the athletes are progressing, right? But you remember Manute Bol?
Oh yeah,
back in the day when you go with, you almost took that line out. when you look up Manute Bol, because he's one of the tallest basketball players as a young kid that I remember, they never knew, Wikipedia, they never knew his age.
No, well,
born between 46 and 62.
You know what? That is, I don't want to speak out of turn here.
Careful.
But I was talking to Andrew Green, and his heritage is from Jamaica, and I was joking with him, and I don't know if he exactly knows how old he is, but it's part. Same with UFC fighter Francis Ngannou.
Oh,
same kind of thing. They say we think he's 39.
I've heard it in the education world, where people immigrate to Canada. And they're not quite sure on how old the kid is, and they're trying to communicate, and it's so hard, and the barriers and all that. But yeah, I learned the Manute Bol thing today. I thought it was fantastic.
Well, did you also know that he played almost every game drunk?
What?
Yeah, look into that. Go down the rabbit hole on YouTube about that, because just with injuries and stuff. And he had a severe case of not agoraphobia, but he didn't like being around a lot of people. So he would drink.
Colson, fact checking this?
Oh yeah, get on the old chat GPT.
Let's go up to Saskatoon to training camp reports brought to you by the Red Zone Sports Bar behind the Saskatoon Travel Lodge. We're learning a lot today about different things. Luke, do you ever know anyone that ever played drunk?
I missed the first part, but has Scott told you about Big Chill?
Oh yeah, well, there's another one. We can talk all day about Big Chill.
Hey,
let's go. Enlighten us.
Hey, Schultz. Hey, you want me now? You want me Saturday? Pick one. Yeah, I'm gonna get them both.
I see how it is, Schultz. Tuesday All-Star. You want me Tuesday or you want me Saturday?
Here comes Luke going hard again. He already made the damn team.
Who are we talking about?
Big Fred Childress.
Oh, okay.
Vaunted offensive lineman.
Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
Just unbelievable.
But you had to go get him.
Yes.
Like you had to get him. Like, you had to go pick him up. Like, you know how Uber, you can order an Uber to pick him up? We had to create a team Uber just to go get Chill for practice.
Rob Lazio,
Otherwise he wouldn't come.
Lazio would have to go over there and pick him up and bring him into meetings.
Really?
So, yeah, the big redhead. Well, you had to put someone big on the job because Chill, and Chill.
Yeah, that's what kept Lazio around, though.
Yeah. You had Chill.
Good job, Laszlo.
Whose eyeballs were as big as your fist, and they'd say he'd go knock on his door in the apartment, and it was like at a motel kind of thing with the window facing out, and you just see this big fish eyeball come on the thing, and they'd pull, Chill, time to go to practice.
Yeah, like an iguana crawling up and down his head. Oh, what do you guys want?
Wild stuff.
Let's go around the horn here. Dave, first to you, then Luke, then Schultz. Trevor Harris on Saturday, over under 2 series.
Over. Gets at least a quarter, if not into the second quarter. Just it's the only chance you get to knock off some of the rust, so he's going to have to go in and face some live bullets, so I'm over. Way over.
Yeah, I'm over as well. I think that you've got a 3-week break after camp is ending. You have to get your guys the reps, because otherwise the first 2 games of the regular season are going to be like training camp exhibition games. You got to be prepared. Over, Schultz?
Yeah, over and out here. Same kind of thing. I'll toe the line. Absolutely, you got to knock the rust off that you can. And Harris needs to be able to feel like, just get some kind of confidence, that he's got some juju going with the guys, right? So that could take over a quarter. It could take 3 quarters. It just depends on how things are going.
Dave, who are you expecting maybe on the receiving side more to get more time and we see more of in Saskatoon?
Outside of the projected starters of Amelis, Keyshawn Johnson, and Kean Schaefer-Baker, as well as Del Duncan-Busby, I would bet we'll see more of Deshaun Mims, Shamar McBean, and Daniel Weep. I didn't think we saw a lot of them in Calgary. I think they'll get a good evaluation here on Saturday.
Daniel Weep's like Saturday Night Live, baby. More cowbell. We need more Weep. He's had a great camp. He's in there getting repped out. I heard Schulte talking about our former teammate, now Plaza of Honor member, Rob Bagg. He's everything that you want him to be. He's been a professional. He's out there just learning. He's out there investing his time, but more importantly, you can tell he's being a great teammate. So I think that hopefully we get to see more of him.
He spent an extra, just a quick side note, he spent an extra almost 40 minutes on the field today just shagging punts for the guys that were out kicking later. So.
Schulte, watch out for this guy.
Yeah, shagging punts.
Brennan on the text line wants to know, maybe Luke, you tackle it first if you want. Do we see a scenario where both Cone and Shager stick around?
The Saskatchewan Roughriders, under Jeremy O'Day specifically, have kept 4 quarterbacks before. If you remember back to, I think it was a couple of years ago, you had 4 quarterbacks. One of them was a PR guy. I think that if Shager continues to develop and he continues to process things the way he has, I would absolutely keep him around. I think Cone will play better. I really do. I think Cone will come out. He's been a professional now. He's been on this roster. He knows this locker room. I think that he'll come out and play better. But again, I think that. And I want to go back to the numbers that he put up in that run and shoot offense in Hawaii. Yeah. I think that that's really helped him process what he's seeing in the CFL now. And I wouldn't be surprised if he comes out and slices Winnipeg up when he gets his opportunity.
So then, Dave, you think for sure, like the four quarterback thing?
I'm never going to say for sure because, again, it's going to be an interesting time with what are the Riders going to do. I'm not sure that they can have somebody ride like they did with Jack Cone on the 1-game injured list every week to protect them. And if you put Shager on the practice roster, has he shown enough on film that somebody's going to come pick him up? I don't doubt the Riders want to at this point, but I'm not going to say for sure.
That's what I was going to ask you, Schultz. What do you think about that? Does a guy show too much where he gets plucked?
Well, see, and that's kind of the thing that happens, right? And, the Riders being in the situation that they have got support, the financials are good. If there's any way that they can structure it where they can keep 4 guys, why wouldn't they keep 4 guys? 4 guys that they know, and then you're not having to download the playbook into somebody new and pick up that another guy when you will need them.
Defensively,
I think we're only. But I also think we're only talking about 4 guys in this instance because of Trevor Harris's age, right? Like, I know he's going to play for like 30 more years, but I think that we're only entertaining 4 quarterbacks just because you have a quarterback right now that's over 40, right? I don't think that I think that if you have your guy, you're like, if you're, for instance, if we're Montreal, I don't think we're talking about having 4 quarterbacks. I think we're talking about 3 and just being like, too bad. But I do think that you have to look at a scenario where, you know, 1 quarterback isn't there for maybe 2 or 3 weeks. Now you're back to 3 quarterbacks instead of just bringing 1 in, right?
You mentioned Saunders, I think, back in hour 1. Luke, to you, and then maybe to Schultz. Defensive side on Saturday. What are you guys both keying in?
Go ahead, Luke.
Oh, so for me, I think that gap integrity, you know, I had the privilege of playing next to Scott, and the one thing that Scott was always going to do is he was always going to own that A gap. I think that Ali Saad is doing a fantastic job. He's having a terrific camp, and it's hard to evaluate, or it's hard for guys on the interior to really stand out when you're just owning an A gap. But Ali Saad's doing a great job of that. On the edge, again, I don't want to see those quarterbacks breaking contain this game. I need to see that you've taken the coaching, that you adjust, right? It only happened to 2 or 3 times. But again, I mean, you're looking at a game where one play where a quarterback breaks contain and opens you up is going to cost you a win, right? So I just think that from a defensive end, and guys got to keep their footing, right? Guys were all over the place. I think that Pate had a little bit of a trouble with his footing. Again, you just want to see the development and the learning and the teachings, right? You're going to know that, hey, we have 2 or 3 instances where the quarterback got outside of us, either threw or ran for a first down. Here's the adjustment that needs to be made, and we need to make it on Saturday.
So I think, you know, what coaches want right now from guys that are on that bubble or guys that they don't have guys slotted in yet is it's just simple. They're looking at what's their pad level like, what's their conditioning like, are they pursuing to the football, do they have the desire to get there, and they want them playing assignment football. Can they get their job done at a high level, you know, 90% plus grading out, and like Luke was talking about at the end there, no mental busts. We can't have, you know, defensive ends flying up the field on a screen or on you know, the end around stuff, thinking, hey, I'm the best pass rusher in the world, and then you're getting lit up, or they're pulling it and doing the RPO.
Dave.
Yeah.
Dave, to you, when you kind of circle things and you get set for your game, are there a couple of bubble guys that you're curious about this week on the defensive side and into the game?
I don't know bubble guys, but more where are they going to fit? Yeah. Juju Hughes has done a real good job in camp, but you've got established guys in that halfback spot, and Roland Milligan Jr. and DeMarcus Fields, right? So does Juju Hughes find a way on special teams? Does Juju Hughes find a way in that defensive backfield? That's a curiosity factor for me. Also, I'm kind of curious what's going to happen to the running back position. I'm very certain that Mario Anderson Jr. thus far has played well enough to get him on the roster, but he's being pushed as well as AJ Ouellette is the undisputed number 1 guy in that depth chart. So I don't know that it's bubble, but it's more how do you fit?
Yeah. I think that in my mind, other than the defensive end battle, I think your offense is you got a pretty, if you're a coaching staff, you got a pretty good idea of who's going to slot in where week 2 or week 1 or whenever we're looking at. I think it's the secondary and finding the depth guys, finding the 1 or 2 American DBs that are going to stick, right? You know you're probably going to take you're going to take your draft pick, Bell, right? But again, a guy like Tomlinson, who's an undersized DB but a former best defensive back in the NCAA. You've got Hughes, who went out there and how many tackles was it? 6, played and flew around like Schultz said, right? It was the effort that stood out for a guy like Hughes, and that's what coaches are looking for. You know you're going to keep Ford, right? But Benny Sapp III, he's been in this system. So I think that there's a really good battle going on for a couple of those American depth spots in the secondary. And I think that out of all of those, you know, we're talking about, hey, how many series does Harris get? I think that when you look at the secondary, I actually think that our ones maybe get a series, but that's it. I think that we put in some of those younger guys and let the depth figure out from there.
Are you curious? Anything on them up at camp?
No, I mean, for me, I mean, let's just remember, guys, preseason football isn't really about the scoreboard. It's about identifying who you can trust in the regular season when things start getting ugly in October, right? And so, this last game, you're going to see probably the greater part of that second half, is going to be a bunch of those, the bottom half of the roster slugging it out, trying to show that they can be a guy that fits into this championship roster.
All right. In closing, Dave, anything new? Still standing room tickets? What Friday? I know somebody asked me today what's going on Friday in Saskatoon, if anything, before the game.
Yeah, big tailgate party outside the stadium starts 3 hours before. I know you're in. They're gonna actually, you know what? This is gonna be much different than if you've attended a Huskies game before. They're actually bringing in one of the biggest mobile boards, like scoreboards, video boards in North America for this football game. So it's going to look like an entirely different stadium. It's going to be pretty cool. And the one thing that's going to be really noteworthy is we might see a pretty good chunk of Canadiana quarterback as Taylor Elgersma. It sounds like he's going to get a lot of reps for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers.
Big deal. That screen, though, that's going to be the size of me and Schultz's buffet plates, man. I'm excited.
That sounds very Winnipegish.
There we go.
This guy.
All right, fellas. Thanks for sticking around up there in Saskatoon. We'll chat with you again tomorrow. Schultz, thanks for being here. We'll go to break. We still have Mark Mueller coming up on the show and more. It's SportsCage streaming through our YouTube channel at sportscage.com. Riders, we're back on the practice field today up at Griffith Stadium in Saskatoon. Coach Mace talked about what he learned from the team after watching film of the Calgary game.
I thought the guys played hard, man. It just came down to detail stuff, stuff that we've seen them do in practice, and, we got to make sure we execute it, specifically, obviously, on game days. But those are, sometimes you expect some of those things in camps, specifically from the younger guys. But I think, getting that education for them early in our training camp will provide, quality depth for us as we push forward.
Hockey, Mile High style, Colorado hosting Vegas, 6 p.m. puck drop, game one of the Western Conference Final at the World Championships today. Germany and USA went into a shootout, USA escaping there. NBA tonight, game two. OKC Thunder, San Antonio, the Spurs leading 1-0. Major League Baseball, Jays just hitting the field with the New York Yankees. Other news on the Jays, Jose Barrios has undergone Tommy John surgery. 31-year-old expected to be out 12 to 18 months. SportsCage.com poll today. Do you agree with the NHL's punishment imposed on the Las Vegas Golden Knights for not meeting the media? Vote at SportsCage.com. Text on the Prairieland Rentals text line. A number of people agreeing that University and U Sport and all minor football should keep their fields the same, Colson. Kim in Saskatoon, Dwayne, Doug, Terry, Trev, all echoing that. We got that going in hour two at 936-6262, the Prairieland Rentals text line. Tavon Campbell back on the field. Exciting to have him back. I would got to think that this is his last year, maybe try and go out, win one more. He was asked what drives him after 6 interceptions last season and a Grey Cup championship.
I think I'm just such a competitor, and I wouldn't say a perfectionist, but I chase greatness, and I want to be as close to greatness as possible. So I'm just not content with being mediocre. So yeah, it's just every day got to get better and got to improve just 1%.
He was asked what gives them the confidence to call their own plays.
It really starts at the coaching staff and them giving you the ability to do that. A lot of coaches will see you, doing your own thing on the field and be like, that's not what we coach. That's not how we teach it. And you kind of just got to go by the playbook. And that's not our coaches at all. Like, there's some plays where we might call something and we'll play something completely different, but we make a play and our coach is, as ecstatic as we are. So he's never, ever, like, if you think you can go out there and make a play doing something, he'll let you go do it.
All right, you can find out more at sportscage.com with everything at Rider Training Camp. Okay, Colson, first off, let's go. San Antonio, OKC, this evening. We talked about it to lead the show. I don't know how much of this game I'm going to watch. I might have to do the split screen because I want to know, just game plan wise, as a sports fan, how does OKC contend with Victor?
That's the question I think every team's been trying to answer. Because, like we were talking with Arash yesterday from game one, on the one hand, he's down in the paint, getting the rebounds, getting the dunks, blocking you. And then he pulls up from basically the logo to hit the game-tying three that sends it to double overtime. Like Schultz was saying, he's like a forward who can just he can handle like a forward, but he's 7.5 feet tall. Like, you can't even double team him because both the guys are still too short.
You got to do something. That's why I'm like so curious to watch it. The other thing that I heard today was he didn't play as much as he did in game one basically all season. So teams didn't see this. They kind of rested him, and now he's out there for the majority of the game, and teams are like, oh boy.
Oh, right. They have this guy too. Well, yeah, he got injured last year and was dealing with some stuff. It was something with his nerves. I don't remember what it was, but it was sticking around. So he was on a minutes restriction pretty much the whole season, and still won Defensive Player of the Year unanimously. Like, again, the guy's an alien. That's his nickname.
Interesting watch tonight, and I just did it. I went vague. I got my fellow D-Gen to put down Vegas Pro Line tonight. I wanted to take the tie at sportselect.com 360. I don't know why. I'm feeling Vegas in regulation time. Will be an interesting watch, and then the Canadians and Hurricanes fire it tomorrow. Sharky's back with me tomorrow. Colson's here tomorrow. We'll have Suits. We'll have a rash and more. As we go to break here, this is Mark Mueller sitting down with Dave Thomas.
Joined by offensive coordinator Mark Mueller. And Coach, during training camp, there were 3 letters that always stood out: evaluation, preparation, and education. So let's talk about education. You've had a chance to see your offense. What have you learned about them thus far in camp?
I've been excited about them. I mean, they work hard off the field, which I appreciate, whether that's in the gym with Dan, in there with getting treatment, cold tubs. They're preparing themselves mentally and physically to come out and practice and put their best foot forward, which we got great leaders that do that. They got great people to follow, and I've been really excited about that group. And, today's practice was a good practice for us to learn from.
What have you learned about your quarterbacks thus far?
I mean, I'm big fans of those guys. I mean, they've all played well. They operate the offense. They understand the why of why we're running certain plays, and just got to get them out there, get them more reps. And they know with Trevor, he's a great guy to watch do it the right way as well. So when you're not in, you got to take advantage of the plays that you're not in for as well.
From the outside looking in, there seems to be a lot more tempo. Is that because you've learned some nuances from this 35-second clock that's being implemented this year?
Well, I think it's just because of it. Like, we're trying to practice like this fast, like 35. The play ends at 35. You know what I mean? So we're trying to practice that out here. Like, whether guys are, the biggest difference is the changes in rotations are faster. You know what I mean? Like group 1 to group 2, they got to run on because we're not treating it any differently. So there's a little bit of a less lull in that point. But other than that, I think we've been pretty much in the same kind of tempo as we usually are. Get the personnel in, get the call, and let the quarterback call from there. So it will be somewhat faster. I mean, I don't think we'll have to adjust much. We were in this range anyways. There'll be other teams that'll have to adjust more than us.
Substitutions, does that change with the new 35-second clock?
Yeah, I mean, you got to probably be faster. I mean, we were pretty fast anyways, usually. There's teams that would wait. But, for us, I think we'll be able to get it in there and get the play called so the quarterback has time to see what's going on.
How do you approach this week? Obviously, it's a condensed schedule, and then you've got a whole bunch of time off before you get more game action.
Yeah, it's unique. I mean, every year we've been here now 3 years, we've had 3 different operations of what's going on, right? So 2 years ago, we played A and B just like we do this week, and then we played Edmonton and B week off, and then played Edmonton and Edmonton again for week 1. And, this last year was conventional, B and C, but it was versus the same opponent. And then we had a short week, right? We played Saturday, I think it was Friday. Cuts were Saturday. We played Thursday night in the opener, right? So that's not, as much as you would like either. And then this year we got the big 21-day off thing. So I think the guys are doing a good job of, it's new to all of us, and just treat each day like it's the most important day, and which our guys do anyway. So for Saturday, it's looking for whoever's out there to play Rider football, and that's let's do your job, make the play when it comes to you, and get ready for the next play.
Does the condensed, compressed schedule change evaluation versus preparation in that ratio right now?
I mean, you can't put as much stuff in, which, because you play so much earlier, you kind of lose a couple days of install, as we would have last year at this time. But we have most of the same guys back, right? And the guys do a good job of getting together, whether it's in the off season or in their rooms, and making sure that they're doing a good job of being ready. So it's basically relatively the same, just in different spurts.
Trevor Harris is wearing a GoPro on his helmet. What does that view give you when you're analyzing the film?
I mean, I think it's the best. I think every single day since the last time I stood there, which is a long time ago, and I wasn't very good when I stood there, I get further away from understanding what it's like with the clicker and what it's like to stand there. So I think from a reps point of view, it allows the other guys to watch it and get reps as if they were standing there. They stand behind, which is the closest thing we can do. But I think from a coaching standpoint, something that might look wide open on film or from the booth where I sit might look brutal to eyes, and that's all that matters is eyes, right? So for me, I think it's been awesome. I love it.